This episode of the Co-optional Podcast is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain name, website, or online store, make your next move with squarespace.com/cooptional.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast here on the 6th of March 2018.
Hello, everyone.
Glorious.
How are you?
Glorious.
What's going on?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Jesse,
Hi.
I have to compliment you on your perfect lighting. Incredible.
Thank you. I didn't do any of it. I don't know.
I'm not actually sure what happened there.
No,
I'm so
I have
curious.
No clue. I'm fine with it. This, these other two, same office.
Yeah.
They look terrible.
Yeah. Look at
Literally
me.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Just gross.
You know, maybe this is like the universe balancing shit out. And yesterday when you were really furious, you just like slammed a few keys and it just did something beautiful to make up for all of the frustration you were feeling.
Look, yeah. Nope, not a fan of being frustrated.
I am.
Not
Love
a
it.
fan.
Can't get enough of it.
Nope, not me. Don't want any more of it.
I could do without it, certainly.
Yeah,
I think
frustration
we've had enough of
sucks.
that in life. We get enough of it in games.
Jesse's been he's been grinding on the streams lately. He's been doing great, streaming pretty much every day, and it's been really fun to watch. And yesterday he just about killed somebody.
Okay.
What were you
That
playing?
escalated quickly. What happened?
Command and Conquer Red Alert. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Oh.
Red Alert 3 in particular, when halfway through the game it gets 10 times harder for no reason, and the AI is
Yeah.
fucking
Exactly
hopeless.
what he was saying.
Yeah,
It
there's a bit of a
doesn't
jump.
necessarily make sense. The Russian campaign, very, very fun, very silly. It literally is Tim Currying to the nth degree, and Peter Stormare, however you say it, the guy who plays every Russian ever in everything.
Okay.
It is really silly. The villains are like J.K. Simmons and George Takei, and you're just like, I've never had more fun in a game.
Oh,
Then
it
everyone-
gets sillier. I mean, the expansion pack has Ric Flair, I believe, as the main
Does it really?
character. Yeah.
Oh,
It
wow.
is straight up just ridiculous. Then everyone in chat was like, I guess I should do the Americans, the Allied campaign now. They're like, no, you got to do Japan. It's hilarious.
No,
It's like,
that's
okay.
dumb. Because that means you skipped the medium difficulty part of the game and went straight to
yeah.
the hardest one.
Well, I didn't know. I was like, whatever. So Japan starts out, and you're like, oh, hell yeah. Badass, like, katana-wielding George Takei, like, talking shit. And you're like, this is going to be great. The first 4 or so maps are just silly. One of them, you literally get no units but a giant, unkillable robot, and you just destroy a city. And it's like, well, this is really entertaining. Immediately after that, you are assigned to a mission where you have to protect Pearl Harbor, because it's a Japanese historical landmark in this reality, and you have to protect it from the invasion fleet of the Americans.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, this is kind of goofy. I like this. Literally, all rules went out the window at this point. The American forces had no power plants, yet somehow could constantly produce stuff. They eventually had no money, still producing things.
Oh, yeah.
My
Cheating
AI,
AI, man.
because the way the game plays is there's a co-op function, and so you can play with someone else or you can play with the computer. And the co-op function that I had, literally my player, the computer player, up until this point, every computer player's been amazing. This player, literally, if you at the end of the game, they give you a chart that shows you on this graph of where like you are versus the AI. At some point, I can't even explain it. It exists on the VOD. Look it up. The AI player like starts shooting up and is doing really, really good, and then stops long before she comes under attack by the enemy. Stops, and there's an immediate drop off. It's like the AI turned off or something, like just immediate drop off, stops producing, stops doing anything, stops earning money, stops
Completely
doing, like it broke. And so now it's me versus a multi-wave fleet, and I can't do anything, but they can't kill me. And so all I'm doing is slowly grinding and wearing them down. It became so frustrating. And then what they would do is they would just like create these ships that freeze all your units. And so literally, if I made ground forces, they'd freeze them. If I got ships up in the air to fight them, they'd send 50,000 jets and destroy. And I was just like, I can't win. So I restarted. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have this AI. I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to build a shoreline defense to protect this AI because I know that the allies are going to go for her first. So I set up this huge defense, did this whole thing. She kept all of her units back at her base, did not attack. And I was like, okay, attack. And I sent her out to go attack. And then the minute she killed one thing, everything would come back to base. And I was like, what? So then, same thing, allies come down, start attacking her. I'm like, go defend your base. Apparently, the one time she's not at her base is the one time they attack. So I'm like, defend. She comes back and defends. I look over 5 minutes later, the allies are attacking again. She's not at her base. They destroyed her base. So now I have no ally again. Literally on the graph.
You would honestly think that at least an AI would be capable enough to provide you with something useful, and it wouldn't be a worse experience than getting a random guy online who was going AFK every 5 minutes because his mother was shouting for him. It made no sense. It was so it was hours of time just wasted trying to figure out a way to beat this level. Eventually I did, because I just cheesed it, like hardcore cheese, where I made one of my units like cloak as another one of theirs and sat them in their base and just launched suicide bombers at them over and over and over again until they were dead. And I was like, I'm done with this. Next level, you have to defend a floating fortress. Exact same type of mission, exact same AI character, exact same problem happened. God.
And I lost it. I was so mad.
Wow.
You have no clue. I was raging at chat. I was pissed off. People were like, one guy was like, no, dude, you're doing it so wrong. You got to get your guys, put them in a boat, sneak them in the thing. They're engineers. They can take over the bases. I was like, oh my God, you're so fucking right. I'm so dumb. Of course, engineers, they can take over. I get the guys in the boat, take them out to the base. Engineers can't deploy in water. They have to be in water and start moving. And I was like, so this plan doesn't work. None of these plans work. Nothing works. It was so fucking frustrating. I was out. I was so, at one point I literally just got up and walked away for like 5 minutes. I was just not in a good place.
I think there's a lot of nostalgia attached to old RTS campaigns, but more often than not, there were missions in those fucking games that made you want to just fucking strangle the nearest person you could find.
Honestly, any of the missions in the old Command & Conquer games where you just had the commando,
I
was like, this is not why I'm playing an RTS game. It's like you got to go through and sneak by all these towers and nod, and you can't get hit once, so you're dead.
Yeah, you restart the whole fucking level. I remember playing those levels on fucking Sega Saturn where you couldn't save mid-mission.
Yep.
So you have to do the whole thing again if you fucked up even once. Oh, the AI constantly cheats. I really want to see you do the expansion challenges because they are even fucking worse in terms of cheating AI. I just hated the fact that why out of nowhere did they create forced co-op in Red Alert 3? Like, it's like either you got to play with a person or you play with our useless AI that may or may not work. But that means we also give the other dude another person as well. So if for any reason your AI decides to not do what you want it to do,
it's 1v2.
Then it's 1v2. Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely ridiculous.
This goes back to the mechanics of it as well. When you're Russia and you play against Japan or the Allies, one of the strategies I kept using over and over again was like, okay, I sneak in the back, destroy all of their refineries and destroy all of their power sources, and they can't do anything. And then I just wipe them out. And I was like, what a kick-ass strategy. It works every time. When you play as Japan, the Allies literally, it doesn't matter.
That is giving them infinite money.
They have infinite money, infinite power. You can destroy all their power things, and they still are producing stuff. You can destroy all the refineries. They have all this money. Like, you're breaking the rules of your own game. I can't win. Oh, I hate that shit. It makes me so mad. It makes me so
CNC broke its rules all the fucking time. Like, it has plenty of those games where it's like, oh, I'm fairly sure he's not mining from anywhere. I'm fairly sure I know everything that's on this map, and I'm pretty sure you are not getting any money, and yet I see your mechs, and I do not know from whence they came. It's not It's always been that way with RTS. Yeah. RTS in general has bad AI, so it cheats to hide that fact. Even StarCraft 2, especially StarCraft 2. You crank that up to, it literally has settings called cheating, because that's the only way that you could possibly be challenged by it, is if the AI actually cheated. But I'll tell you this, though. I miss a good RTS campaign. I was tempted to reinstall CNC 3 right after watching you play a bit of Red Alert 3. It's like, wow, yeah, CNC 3 was actually fucking great, wasn't it? And Kane's Wrath was arguably even better.
Kane's Wrath is super good. Yeah.
So good. I just want a proper campaign-based RTS. You know, bring some cheesy actors back. How hard can that be? I mean, we saw what Tex Murphy did. You remember, you know, they brought the FMV game back, you know, and they barely spent any money to do it.
I love that shit. That's why I never played Red Alert 3. So I was like, I'm in. Let's try it. I remember watching the intro video where literally it's like, yeah, okay, the plot of this one is Tim Curry time travels back and changes reality by killing Einstein. I was like, fuck it, I'm in. This is the best thing I've ever seen. It genuinely is, in the acted parts, super entertaining. Everyone there knows they're playing it as like goofy as possible.
Oh, it's maximum cheese. It's perfect.
Yeah, but it's fun. And the only parts that suck are when the game itself is like, okay, we're broken now.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm like, literally one of the levels as Japan is you're in a giant mech that has three legs and 3 samurai like torso bodies, and you go around destroying a city. I'm like, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever been a part of. This is great. That shit's amazing.
Yeah.
But when the rest of it's like, fuck it, you're just gonna get cheesed over. I hate that. It drives me so crazy. I just want to have fun. That's all. I don't need to be like, I struggled for 12 hours and finally beat it. I'd go play Dark Souls if that's what I wanted to do. I just want to go see like really stupid. I want to see Kelly Hugh and fucking George Takei like talk shit on America, and J.K. Simmons talk about how he's gonna like every time he gets mad he increases the alert level. Remember when that was a thing? The alert level. Fuck, it's so good.
You know what a company like EA would say, though. It's like, oh, well, these days with YouTube, like, people could just watch all the cutscenes on YouTube, so there'd be no point in us making this campaign. No, that is a bullshit argument. Like, you know, if you make that game right, people are going to want to play the campaign and then watch the cutscenes. You know, because generally speaking, they feel, you know, they go into each other really, really well. You know, they flow into each other, particularly if you've well scripted the mission. And I remember, even though the cutscenes in Generals were terrible, the way that they did the Generals challenge, where every different general had a different personality and they were all fucking crazy. Like, there was the guy who was obsessed with poison, Dr. Thrax, and his accent was fucking phenomenal. And every time you ever did anything to him, he'd complain about it in the context of poison, which is a highly specific context, and yet they managed to pull that off. And it's so much fun just to play through a campaign like that and get your really funny cutscene and then get your level which directly follows up from that part of the story, etc., etc. It doesn't matter that you can watch it on YouTube. It's still fun to play through. We haven't seen an RTS, I think, with since Grey Goo. You know, Grey Goo was the last one, I think, where they really did the whole cutscene thing. And they played it straight, you know, which I don't think was the way to go with that. You know, you needed the comedy value there.
Well, I mean, if you're going to play it straight, you need to go over the top, like crazy shit that like, oh my God, that was really cool. I feel like the idea of an RTS game where it's like, we have to stop this thing from happening because it's very important to the net. It's like, fuck, I don't, if it's like, the Sentinel beasts are coming and there's 85 of them and you must build a force to defeat them and they're literally like world stomping monsters. That shit's awesome. I want more of that.
I feel like the Tiberium stuff was all the first one where it's like super duper serious, and like I felt like a lot of the whole like Kane thing took itself very seriously and there wasn't a whole lot of comedy there. And then Red Alert happened and it was like, oh, okay, it's goofy.
This is comedy, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it goofed up a little bit later on, but they still kept it like, they kept the B-movie feel. you know. But it still had. It's because Kane was such a well-acted character and such a cheesy villain, but a really awesome one to listen to, and he was, you know, just the performance was really good. You could get over that. It's like, this is goofy and silly, but also kind of cool. So we can still do our fucking parachuting Soviet attack bear thing in Red Alert 3 and, you know, have the two things not conflict with each other directly. One's hammy and one's completely off the rails. Yeah, and I miss either of those, honestly. I really would love to play a campaign that was of that quality. I think the closest was probably Homeworld. The latest Homeworld, Deserts of Karak. It was short, but the campaign was of that kind of quality. You know, where you got a good story, and you had to play through the whole thing in order to finish the whole thing, and it felt compelling to go through that just to find out what the story was. Of course, you know, no real replayability there, but it was satisfying in terms of the campaign. We just don't see games like that anymore. And you look at how popular a game with no story whatsoever is in that genre. They are billions. There's no, you know, that's all about making your own story and usually losing and dying horribly. You know, it's the good old Dwarf Fortress effect. But in terms of anyone trying to tell you a story through RTS these days, nope.
I'm super curious about They Are Billions, the effect of streamers on that game. Because watching really good streamers play that game, I think sold a lot of people on the fact that, like, oh, I can do that, and then they just got brutalized. Yeah. And they're like, ooh, I don't like this. But I'm curious. I would love to know.
It's got to be, in my opinion, it's significant. Like, right? I think it's like the difficulty with the replayability, with the every map is different every time kind of thing, is appealing to stream viewers. And anything that's hard enough to sort of create this desperation sort of situation in a streamer, I think is entertaining to watch.
Right.
So, I mean, I personally don't enjoy watching They Are Billions. I think it's, you know, it's too slow. You know, there's a couple of moments of absolute panic sometimes, but then, you know, there's obviously quite a lot of downtime as well. I mean, hell, you could even, you can pause the game in real time, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I mean, it does make it a good stream game. You're right, because the streamer has room to actually talk.
And every streamer like gets into the pattern of building their base differently.
Yeah.
I think that's what's interesting to me, is watching how different streamers tackle like the start.
Yes. I think there's probably quite a bit of that in the popularity of Slay the Spire on streams as well.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone can play that game, but everybody plays it slightly differently, and they've been putting a lot of effort into making those runs very different on a daily basis. So it's decent enough to watch. I don't think it's as entertaining as, say, Hearthstone to watch, but some people seem to really dig it. I think it's mostly down to sitting down and backseat gaming the whole thing, though. That's why
I Slay the Spire.
Yeah, I think I have no intention of ever streaming Into the Breach on that very basis, because I have a feeling the backseat gaming would be astronomically bad.
Yeah.
It's rough, yeah. I would say, though, that with... I would say
that was a very, very dodgery way of putting, like, oh, yeah, it happens with... It's rough.
It's rough. But with Slay the Spire... For me, it's the same kind of a feeling, not identical, obviously, but it's the same kind of a feeling that I get from watching Binding of Isaac, where like once they get to like the third zone, you start to see whether or not they've focused on a build and like tried to really like create that deck. And I think that's the really entertaining part of watching Slay the Spire for me, is like once they actually have lots of these, you know, little trinkets and they've got all of their cards and they're like, all right, yes, I'm the guy who can have over 100 block each turn, right? And you're like, how the fuck? It's great.
Yeah, because they've cheesed the shit out of it. Yeah, and it's when you love it when a plan comes together kind of situation, or when it falls apart completely. That's really entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm totally set up for this. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and then it just falls to pieces in one encounter.
When somebody does like the trade at the beginning to trade out their I keep calling them trinkets. I can't remember what the game calls them. But at the beginning, typically one of the deals you can make with the giant whale is to like swap out your starting trinket. And the starting trinket specifically for the bashy guy is a pretty good trinket. It like gives you extra health at the end of every combat.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So it's hilarious sometimes when you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to swap out.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. And you swap out and it's just like one of the most useless things in the world. You're like, all right, well, this is how we're starting off this run.
We're sticking with it instead of just restarting the whole thing again. Yeah.
Yeah.
That game has been developing really nicely. Like the fact that they're adding like cards on a weekly basis, different modes. They've got that daily run now.
Yeah, I've been doing those.
I haven't played anywhere near as much as I want to. I've played Spire mostly because I would love for it to be on tablets, and it's one of those ones that for some reason doesn't want to play nice with Moonlight, the streaming thing. I've been playing most of Into the Breach on iPad using that, and it controls perfectly.
I think Into the Breach is so perfectly set up to work on mobile too.
Oh, if that doesn't come to mobile, they would be losing their fucking minds. They would be crazy. I mean, Slay the Spire absolutely should as well. There's no doubt about that. But it's Into the Breach is a hell of a mobile game, as well as a PC game. I want to talk about Into the Breach. Shall we do that?
Sure. Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Have we even done introductions?
I mean, really, the notorious
That's
PIMP,
all the introduction I need.
Yeah, it doesn't really need any introduction.
I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. Hi, everyone. Co-optional podcast. Jesse, Dodger, TB. I don't know where he's on the screen. Octo is here. Hi, Octo.
Hey, what's up?
Nice to be here.
On the internet, nobody knows that you're a dog.
That's true.
That's true.
Okay, now we're done.
Bridge.
Let's
Video
talk about
games. Yeah, we preambled for about half an hour on Red Alert 3 for no reason, and then just meandered between streaming games a little bit. Let's settle on to Into the Breach. Who's played it?
Yeah, I have.
Yep.
Into the Breach is it's a tactics game made by the people who made FTL.
Yep.
I didn't know they made it. There's FTL people.
Yeah, it's one of those tactics games where it's a static board, so you don't have to like move around. You never have to worry that you're not seeing something. It's just all right there. And the way that it's set up is like you take out teams of mechs. So they're preset teams of mechs, and you can unlock more and more and more of them as you go. The starting one is just kind of like the basic boys, but they're still great. And there's like this interesting time travel element story-wise that sort of explains or becomes the basis and the framework for why you might replay it, because a playthrough is actually very short. It seems like you could beat this game in 2 or 3 hours.
It could be if you weren't the person paralyzed by your decisions every single time you took a turn. But yeah, I mean, you could blaze through this even faster than that. If you're actually a decisive person, you could get through this game probably running under an hour is not unfeasible, I think.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
it's that fast?
It's totally doable, but you will see a vast difference in the speed that people play, because there's a very odd thing about this game, and it's something that I haven't seen in many tactics games. And that's that they give you beyond perfect information. Not just perfect information, you literally can see the future. You're told exactly what your enemies are going to do, and you have to stop or interfere with that action now with the actions of your mechs. So you technically, like, they place their moves and they set their moves, and then you get to do yours, and then everything resolves. But if you do yours and, of course, destroy all of the enemy before they're able to do anything, then they won't be able to execute whatever that move is. But the fact that the game actually flat out tells you and gives you full information as to this is where he's shooting, this is how much damage it's going to do. This is absolutely going to happen unless you in some way interfere with it. It turns it into it's less of a tactics game, more of a puzzle game at that point.
It's kind of a puzzle game. Yeah, that's how I was feeling yesterday.
Yeah, just because of that amount of information you've got. You know, if you think about like Fire Emblem, or you think about XCOM, you're given a lot of information, but not all of it. You know, there's RNG. Sure. You don't know exactly where an enemy's going to shoot. He might decide on a different target, all that kind of thing. In this game, like there's no hidden variables. Everything is like laid open to you. You know exactly what's going to happen. So if it goes wrong, it's entirely your fault.
That's actually interesting, because in Advance Wars, there are some missions where if you move your troops in a certain way, the AI will always have the same response. Yeah, it's not programmed in. It's just like there's certain ways you can manipulate the AI to do exactly what you want and just recreate the situation every time. It's the way you would get like S ranks on a lot of missions, is basically by just doing the same thing. Yeah, cheesing it. Yeah, I love that game though.
Yeah, it's. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I also kind of enjoy that the game when you fail, when it game overs on you, it, because of like this time element to it, it's like, well, that means that this universe wasn't meant to work out, so you got to go to another one and try again.
Yeah,
it's like the
much.
Concept. Which is kind of cool. Like they don't give you this feeling of like, oh God, I super fucked up when you die. They just kind of encourage you, like, all right, you weren't able to save this world, but you can save the next one. And you're like,
which makes me feel like, well, what the fuck is the point in any of it then? It's like, if they're this irrelevant, if there's so many different realities, then why the fuck are you going through saving them all anyway? But it's an interesting way to kind of make the whole contrivance work and just say, right, well, you know, you can take one pilot with you to continue. You could, if you've unlocked a different team, you can start with them and you can bring along that one veteran pilot and then give it another shot.
There might be time pods that land, and if you can protect them or pick them up, they might have people from a different time period in them.
Yeah, and you can get a pilot out of that, or a different weapon or whatever.
Your mechs.
That's cool.
There's so much going on with it because of the way that the unlock system works. That the game's like absolutely at its weakest at the start, where they give you the straight up basic mech. You know, there's a tank, there's a punchy dude, and there's an artillery piece, and there's your most boring setup. I am playing around with a setup that has a laser that goes through things, that has a little science drone that can pull people in with a big electromagnet and can also lay down shields, and a tank that rams things. It's a ramming tank. It's a tank that rams. So
does it ram though?
It rams. It very much rams. A lot of ramming going on with
it. She rams.
Yes,
got it.
Indeed. And she is fantastic for what she does. So I put the best pilot I could immediately into that. Upgraded its HP, and it's like, you're going to go ram things, and that's going to be your job. And there's so much positioning in this game, because you're actually on a really small map. Like, relative to most tactics games, your map is tiny. So you have a limited choice of where you can go, but that also means just shoving an enemy one square to the right might be enough to stop them doing anything that turn. So positioning and movement gets really, really important and really complicated really fast.
Right.
It is hella fun when it all comes together, though. But I admit, I get some serious analysis paralysis during that game. Like, where I'll be looking at the situation, I'm like, is this the optimal way to do it? And what's going to happen next turn? And thinking through, it's, you know, can I kill everything this turn? Is that possible?
Right.
You know, but am I also maybe going to injure my mech too much? Because maybe my mech can only take one more hit. Am I taking a risk here? So I end up sitting there for like an hour just on one turn.
You definitely should not stream this game.
No, I should not.
Because
I will absolutely not.
Here's what happens. Because I also will sit there for a while and be like, okay, how do I make sure that I don't lose any energy this turn? I need to make sure that nobody's hitting an energy. Like,
you should be doing the run perfectly,
if
right?
I can block it with my body, I will.
Yeah.
You know, and say that I feel really good about it and I lock it in. Like, okay, they're not hitting anything that can't be repaired. this is great. I still have all my objectives like in line, right?
Everything's good.
And then say you select it, and then somebody says there was a much more optimal way to do that.
Yep.
You just want to fucking kill somebody.
That was my fear. That is my fear. Other than the fact that I know
Excuse yourself. I'm doing fine, thank you.
I'm going to be sitting there for 45 minutes on one turn, boring the shit out of everybody that's watching. The back seating, because, as we said, you have more than perfect information. The back seating, it's not just about necessarily your decision. They're probably right, and that's the worst thing about it.
Oh, totally. I know that I don't have the sort of brain that's going to like beautiful mind a game like this, right? Where I'm just like, I see it. So when somebody's
all the calculations flying by.
Yeah, when somebody's
Blonde,
in their
brunette,
fucking mind
redhead.
palace watching my stream and they're like, man, basically the equivalent of Miss Lethal. I just like, I know, okay? I get it. I'm not as good as you.
My mind palace for this game would just be like a crude children's crayon drawing of a robot smashing another robot.
Which is fair. There are
that's my train of
There are
thought.
so many different teams in this game to unlock. Some of them are just like that. It's just like bash the living shit out of everything you see with gay abandon.
That's what I want to do. I want that one.
There are several teams that would fulfill that, I think.
Yeah.
It is very FTL-y in that like in FTL every ship you have to get used to.
Yeah. Plays really differently.
Yep.
Yeah. In this game, every group of mechs is so different. The first mech team that I bought, I was like, what the fuck is this
that?
shit?
Yeah. It's like there's
So
a combination of weird shit that makes no sense. But then you realize, well, that's what makes it entertaining. The nice thing about it versus FTL is that in FTL, you unlock that ship and then you proceed to get fucked 10 games in a row by RNG and not learn a goddamn thing before you get the weapon drops or equipment that you actually need to make that thing really sing. So
there is a little bit of RNG. Well, there's a decent amount of RNG in this game. Like you don't know what all you're going to pick up. You don't know what the regions on the map are going to give you, you know?
Yeah, there is definitely a little bit of it. You know, the acquisition of gear in particular I found to be a bit frustrating initially. I remember when I first, finished an island and they let me buy stuff. It's like, great, that's what I was waiting for. It's all fucking useless or whatever. So I just walked away with a couple of power reactors because that's the only thing I could get. Because the guns seem like side grades. Like from what I can tell, a lot of the weapons are very side grady and confuse the shit out of the play style of the thing you're already playing. Like I swapped out the guy's like power fist or whatever for a rocket fist. I'm like, okay, that sounds really cool. I could shoot that. But it also fires you backwards as well. So suddenly my mech is flying backwards into buildings and destroying shit that I'm supposed to be protecting. I'm like, why the fuck did I swap this out? This isn't an upgrade. This is just giving me more chances to make mistakes.
Yeah, the first time that I finished an island and I was able to buy stuff, I bought a bunch of passives and didn't realize that I would need to like charge the passives.
Yeah, you have to equip
and
them
had only been given one opportunity to have a reactor core. So I was like, oh, I can't use
any of
these.
Yay.
That's fine. That's cool. I'm okay with that. So
yeah, there's definitely a bit of that to it. But I feel like the game is definitely designed in such a way that you can beat every run with the default loadout that your team comes with. It definitely seems that way.
Sure.
As long as you haven't taken too much power grid damage throughout the run, I think every run seems beatable. And the game specifically says that it scales the island depending on how long your run's been. So they're deliberately trying to keep the difficulty constant throughout the run and not actually ramp it up until like the last fight. So
your pilots also level up.
Yes,
like the longer that they live, they'll gain like little bonuses, which can be really useful.
Yeah, like +2 power, for instance.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I got one with HP, so he's the guy I keep bringing. The problem is that his first perk was like +XP, on kill and now is at max. So I don't really want it. I almost want to abandon him in the time stream so I can get somebody else, but he's maxed out.
Oh, come on.
I probably shouldn't do that.
I picked up a lady in a pod who had a passive ability where whatever mech she was piloting, she gave a shield to.
That's
and
nice.
And then she immediately leveled up to have extra health. And I was like,
You're my
yes.
tank now.
Yes.
That sounds strong. I'm gonna
Yeah.
nod in agreement.
She was a buff girl.
Mm,
But then like something one-shot her because she got hit with acid, and acid makes you take extra damage. And I was really upset.
Classic. That's
Fucking
Yeah. Acid will do it to
Classic.
you.
yeah.
acid.
That'll hit
Acid.
you. You know.
Yeah, it'll hit
Watch
you hard.
out.
Acid comes at you fast.
Yeah.
Octopimp is
Acid
an
comes
expert
up
at
with
this, if you hadn't already figured it out.
Yes, I am.
An expert
I,
at acid.
acid, yes.
And Into the Breach. He's just really, he's been,
That's me. Yeah.
really
Here's what
been
you're gonna want to do.
reserving his knowledge.
Get those robots, load them up with those good old pilots, send them into the breach. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Bada boom. That's the
I've
winning
s-
strategy.
I've seen your t-shirt that's covered in anime girls who are getting acid thrown on their face, right? That's what they
Yeah,
have.
yeah, that's why
What's
there's
in
It's
the
acid on their face,
actual
right?
eyes are
they're-
rolling
Yeah, that's
back.
why they
Because
look
all
like
the
that.
acid.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're-
oh.
that's why
Yeah.
the eyes are rolling back. Yeah.
I see.
Uh-huh.
This is fucking prank invasion. What the shit? Yeah, anyway, Into the Breach is pretty great. And it's amusing that it's marketed entirely on the back of the fact that it was made by the guys that made FTL. Like, it's literally in their banner. Like, the most prominent thing in their banner is not even the name of the game. It's by the guys that made FTL. Like, yep.
Yeah.
Wait, is that really a tagline for it?
Yeah. Go look at the banner for the game. Like, it's mostly that's what it says.
Wait, let me see. Let me look it up.
And to be fair, that's the best way to market it. Honestly, like, it's nothing like FTL as a game, but there's a couple of little elements in there that was like, yeah, I can see the DNA of that. I can see why that decision was made. But it's FTL's great, but this is just a really smart strategy game, and it's got a ton of replayability.
Cool.
So I'm big into it. It's been my favorite game that I've played in a good long time. It's pretty great. So worth a shot, I think.
Have any of you guys played Dungreed?
I have not. I heard some good
Dungreed?
things
Like
about
Dungarees?
it.
I watched some people play it.
I was just curious if anybody had played it. I haven't touched it yet.
How do you even spell that?
Dungreed.
Yeah, like Dungreed.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, Dungreed. He said poops.
Or something related or adjacent to.
Yeah.
But it's like a side scroller dungeon crawler.
Yeah, it reminds me of a little more fleshed out Rogue Legacy, from what I've seen. I haven't really played. It looks like the gameplay is pretty similar. I haven't played it, but I have watched other people play it. But that's what it strikes me as.
Yeah,
I'm watching other people play it too.
I'm getting like Rogue Legacy crossed with Enter the Gungeon here.
Yeah,
especially like
definitely.
look at the way the firearms work. I'm just looking at a piece of footage here, and someone's using like a little repeating crossbow thing, and the way the reload works on that, it looks exactly like Gungeon.
Yeah, I do like Gungeon.
Yeah, looks nice. Whatever. Man.
There's a lot of dungeon crawling games. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of
a lot of
roguey.
things that say dungeon crawling and roguelikes. And I'm just like,
yeah,
I
it's
can't.
like you want to unlock some stuff. You want to
I'm already
unlock
exhausted.
hundreds of possible items that you may never see in a run ever. Well, we have got 5 more roguelike games for you this week.
Yeah, like gameplay wise,
Definitely a bit of fatigue.
Like the footage I'm seeing looks awesome. I love the graphic style. I love all sorts of stuff about it. But just, all the additional elements of like, yeah, it's gonna be one of those things where you just have to keep playing it over and over and over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, I don't want to ever do that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I think if you don't do that these days, you're gonna be struggling to convince somebody on PC to buy in this genre in particular. The kind of side-scrolly ish genre or top-down or isometric genre. They're not really genres in of themselves, but these kind of Metroidvania-esque kind of games. If they don't have a roguey element to them now, it's a harder sell, because you look at that roguey element and a lot of people see massive replayability.
Yeah.
And when it's done right, like when it's done like Dead Cells level good, when it's done Isaac level good, Gungeon level good, that's exactly what it is. When it's done poorly, it's just a bunch of randomly generated bullshit that would have been way, way, way better executed had it actually had the hand of a real person behind it.
And I think it sucks that this is oof. I don't know how I'm going to say this. The influence of streamers.
No, say it. I know exactly what you're going to say. And I agree with it.
Say it.
Say it.
Get some balls.
The influence of streamers on games like this, because of the whole, I want someone to watch my game. I want someone to be interested in my game. I want someone to sell my game for me as a streamer and not give away anything because it's a roguelite. Different things can happen to someone else who buys it new. Like, I feel like that incentivizes devs to create games that are roguelike. That's literally a thing that they can have someone else play, get other people into, and not spoil anything for the average consumer. And I think that negates just a normal Metroidvania style game where you could literally just have a fun game and have it be that sort of like you're moving around the dungeon, open up shit, unlocking different things, and have a classic game. You can't do that anymore if you're relying on Twitch to sell people that game.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's no question that there's been, to some extent, with YouTube and Twitch, influence on the growth of this sort of weird subgenre that we've got, if you even want to call it that. Because, like, you can slap rogue on everything. I mean, you know, we've done roguelike racing games where, you know, Road Redemption is Road Rash with a roguelike element to it.
What the fuck?
No, it's good. It works. It makes sense.
Conceptually, I love it. It's just so crazy.
You get the sort of randomly generated missions and races. The tracks are changing every time, and like your character developments and the different weapons that you get and upgrades you get are different every time. So it actually works. You know, there's a reason to put it there because it's giving you that replayability. But when it comes to that unexpected nature that Jesse's talking about, that you could show this to a person and it makes them want to buy it instead of just sitting there watching you. You know, because think about the people that, for some reason, watch Northern Lions 100, 200, 300 part playthroughs of Isaac or Spire. You know, he's above 100 episodes of Spire already. How many people bought the game off the back of that and still play it while also watching his playthroughs? Probably quite a lot. Yeah,
you can do that, and I think, but that goes back to the idea of why we see so much of these games.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As a dev, you're like, oh, well, if I make a game where every time you play it's a little bit different, then streamers can jump on this, and then people can buy it as well, and that's why you see such like an influx of them. But it just becomes overwhelming after a while for me.
Games that sell themselves.
I don't have time to check out half of these.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, I think, the really successful ones are fun from the very start. You know, and you're not bored because they think, oh, well, I've got to do like 5 or 6 runs before this really gets going. Mm-hmm. The good ones are good right from the beginning. So I think that those are the ones that end up doing really, really well. Right. And I don't have a huge amount of time to play these kind of things either, but I play quite a lot of them. I think just because the good ones at the start are bombarding you with new shit, and that makes, even if you play them for a few hours, and just a few hours, you've had a highly different gameplay experiences in those few hours. And that, to me, feels pretty good. I feel I come away from a session like that feeling like I have had a really good time and I've used my time well.
Unlike games like Gungeon, am I right?
The Gungeon...
I'm just waiting for Octo to be upset because he loves that game.
I really love Gungeon a lot.
I mean, Gungeon is good, but I think the complaint about it is that the start of Gungeon isn't that good. Like, if you don't get a good weapon kind of right out of the gate, it can be a bit tedious initially.
I feel like that, yes, but at the same time, at least for me, I tend to not use weapons at the beginning of a run anyway. I usually just use my sidearm just because it's best to... You don't really need it early on in the game at a certain point.
No, you don't.
Damn.
Yeah.
You just get good at the internet.
I guess so.
I mean, he's
because,
right.
like... Yeah,
it's a skill-based game. Like you can beat everything, you know, the first boss with like
the
your
sidearm.
infinite.
Yeah,
but it takes longer. It's less fun. It's a game about collecting really cool guns and presumably then shooting them, not shooting them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and eventually you get to that point where, you know, at one point I got the Stinger, which is the rocket launcher that shoots the beehive, and then I got the gun duct taped to your back, which also shoots the same gun behind you. So I was shooting 2 beehives in front of me and behind me that were just swarming the enemies with bees, and you cease to play at that point. Everything just dies because you're just killing them with bees. And so it's like you get those ridiculous combinations, and that's what's fun. Is like when you get that crazy stuff. But I am totally on the same page as you when on the flip side, you're like, oh, great, I got like the unfinished gun or the prototype gun and like the regular shotgun. And it's like, boy, this sure is an interesting game.
As you're just slowly chipping away at the boss's health for the next 10 minutes.
Exactly.
You didn't have a bigger gun. Yeah. For a game about having lots of different weird guns, it sure as hell likes to punish you for using the guns. Which I think is maybe the biggest problem with that game. Otherwise it's fantastic.
I think a really good like roguelite that I never really heard a lot of other people talk about, at least maybe because I got into it later, was Dungeons of Dreadmore. I thought that game was super fun.
I played that when it first came around, and I mean, that's a traditional roguelike. You know, that's the game only moves when you do. You take a turn, the enemy takes a turn. Concepts like fucking monster zoos and crazy shit where a randomly spawned room will be completely full of monsters.
Making your own class, I thought that was cool, where you just get to select the skills you want for your class. I thought that was pretty neat.
The fucking Dreadmore was fantastic. It was an absolutely awesome game. Well worth trying for anyone that hasn't. You know, it's a great introduction to true roguelikes, you know, what they used to be. It's a very accessible version of that, so it's well worth trying out. And it's funny. And it's
super funny.
It's about $1 or something. Like, it goes on sale very often, so grab it.
It's got an X-Pack too, which adds a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it does. The other good one that I would say in that genre is sort of the Stars the Pit. That is it's a sci-fi one, you know, again, where the game only moves when you do and is turn-based. That's really, really good. That's very accessible.
Interesting.
But you're right, you know, adding Rogue onto pretty much everything is a way to go at the moment.
Yeah, it just is an immediate like, oof, okay, I probably don't have the time in my life to play this now.
It is interesting that it puts you off, but I can see why it would.
Yeah, especially in a game, you know, that it looked awesome. It looks cool. And I'm like, oh, that looks fun. But the idea that it not only do I have to learn to play, I also have to learn to start differently every time and learn to adapt. And so it's just about hours put into it. Like everyone can do that. It's just that I'm like, I don't know that I have the time to do that, plus play other games, plus learn about other shit. And like, it just seems like a lot of work. And I'm like, or I could not do that.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention that you're into games that have a narrative, and anything that has rogue-like stuff on it these days generally probably doesn't have much of a story going for it.
Yeah.
If it's co-op or you can play with friends, then I'm more into it because the story is what you and your friends
make.
Of
course,
And so it's about working together and like, oh, we're having fun. Let's go kill this monster. And you're pushed forward in the narrative because your friends want to go do something or you're caught up in the moment. But if you're just by yourself, I'm just like, cool.
Did you ever play Dungeon of the Endless? That game, that's like,
I still need to get around to doing
what that game was like.
Because that game's weird, if I recall correctly. It's got some odd elements to it.
Yeah, so it's sort of roguelike-y, but also tower defense-y. Basically,
I like tower defense.
Okay, Jesse, I really think you would like this game. And co-op.
What is this?
This is one where you're ascending.
Yes.
Oh my god, this game is super fun.
Yes.
What is this shit, bro? What is this called?
Dungeon of the Endless.
Dungeon of the Endless.
Yes.
Oh my god, Sam and I played the shit out of this game.
It's fucking fun. It's fucking fun.
It's a really fun game.
It's a man. I'm gonna throw a lot of terms here into the mix, if you'll forgive me. It's a co-op tower defense dungeon exploration-y roguelite.
Yeah. Why not?
What it is.
Yeah. Wait, what is the tower defense aspect of it? Are you building turrets and shit? Is that
when you unlock a room, there's nodes that you can put, you can like put down defenses in that room. And so like, so you have to decide, you sort of have your, you decide like, do I want actual like damage, or do I want like support nodes in here? Or do I want, because you as a character also fight the waves. So like you can be like, oh, I want like support nodes in here that'll heal, or like I want just like direct damage ones that'll just do damage. It's really cool. It's super duper fun. If you haven't played it, it's totally worth a try.
Yeah, for sure. It's really fun to play with people. I also I tried doing a run just on my own, and that's also very doable, but it's honestly not as fun, I don't think, because there are lots of well, the game is kind of centered around consistently having moments where you're like, fuck it, everybody run!
Yeah.
So when you're by yourself, those moments aren't as exciting.
Yeah, because you know you're fighting off the wave and you're like, shit, we gotta get out of here.
We have to get out of here. Yeah. It's so fun though. Man, I forgot that game existed.
Yeah,
I haven't even got around to playing it, and I don't know why I never got around to playing it. Because I played everything else in the Endless series.
Nothing like Endless Space and Endless Legends. Yeah.
But there's nothing like them. It's kind of, it is in the same universe, weirdly.
Yes.
Like the lore actually ties together somehow.
Yep, because if you own it and you play Endless Legend, you can play as like the vault dwellers or the people that like built the dungeon in Endless Legend. Yeah.
Bonkers. Yeah, it's weird and strange and a big genre masher. And I need to get around to playing it as well, actually. It's on iOS. It is on tablet. I hopefully the movement system would be good and not, hey, we're going to pretend we have an analog stick on the screen. I despise any game that does that.
Yeah.
That is the worst. Please stop doing that forever. It is terrible. God damn. Now I want to try this out. I've got way too much to do. Can't add this in here. Jesus.
I mean,
or you could.
I mean, I could. That is true.
Or you could, though.
Mate, what if I did?
What if I did? Peddlers.
Listen, I'm not going to tell him what to do. I'm just saying he could.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you want to be cool.
Yeah, first one's free.
New rogue.
Yeah. Just try it out.
Might give it a shot.
First rogue's free.
Yeah.
First rogue is free, yeah. All right, let's take a break. And, of course, hear from our wonderful sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. I'll be hearing about why exactly you should use that particular service right now, and then we'll be back with more discussion on more video games.
Wow.
You are watching the Cooptional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Have you ever looked at a website and thought to yourself, wow, that person really has their act together. This looks professionally done. Must have been put together by a design company for them. Wonder how much that cost them. Now, have you ever considered that person could in fact be a giant fraud? Yes, indeed. In today's world, it is possible to create a beautiful, professional-looking website without years of web design experience and without hiring an expensive design firm. That is, of course, exactly what they don't want you to know, these charlatans representing their brands and ideas with these sharp, crisp-looking designs that look great on any device. Oh, that must have taken a while to optimize for both my PC and my phone, you think to yourself. It didn't. They didn't do anything. That's because Squarespace looks great on practically any device. These people with the gall to spend their valuable time on their creations and not their websites. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, it takes some time to fully open one's mind to the reality that the internet is filled with those who'd rather let someone like Squarespace handle the heavy lifting when it comes to their website. You can take a look for yourself over at squarespace.com/cooptional and get 10% off your first order and a free trial. See how easy it could have been this entire time. Choose from hundreds of beautifully designed templates for any product, service, and idea. Enter your content in just minutes and away you go. Oh, but they must have some expertise, I hear you say. What if something went wrong? Of course, they need some knowledge to fix it. Well, that's where they have you fooled once again. With Squarespace's award-winning 24/7 support, these people don't have to have the first clue about web design or server maintenance. If somehow you break something, Squarespace has people on hand to fix it and let you go about your business, whatever that may be. Blogs, storefronts, portfolios, galleries, and music libraries, all made possible without expertise or design experience, so you can spend your time where it matters. Your new line of meditation aids for dogs. If you can sell it, Squarespace can get you paid. Accept payments from all over the world with Stripe, Apple Pay, and PayPal support. You are now in possession of forbidden knowledge. All these incredible-looking websites put together quickly and efficiently thanks to Squarespace, where what you see is what you get. You don't even have to faff around with domain names. Squarespace domains will get you the name you want and handle all the setup in a snap. It all sounds too good to be true. Well, it's not. It's merely a grand conspiracy to make better looking and easier to build websites. If you'd like to be a part of that, then head over to squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. Be a part of the conspiracy and make it with Squarespace.
Oh, I bought a Naruto branded fidget spinner in Japan.
It's a shuriken.
It is a shuriken, and it's. But there's also so many things right with it.
Octo, can I ask you a question?
You can.
If I went to Japan,
yeah,
would you come and just show me around?
I mean, to the best of my ability, to where
anyone who's better than you. Look, I want to go to Japan, but not have to actually learn anything. I don't want to learn.
You should take both of the Alexes.
Yeah,
you take Octo, and you should take number one Alex.
Number one Alex
goes there like once every couple of months and speaks fluent Japanese.
To guide me. I also don't want to like learn Japanese because I don't want to hear them say mean things about me.
Hey, I got good news for you. You can get around Tokyo extremely easily without knowing any Japanese.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good.
Cool.
Yes, and apparently I've been mute this entire time. Thankfully, I've added nothing of any value to the show, so it's not really a problem, actually. It's totally fine.
No.
One has to assume that I would have been criticizing Octopimp's choice in everything anyway, so nothing new there.
Oh, man, we missed out on that, but that never happened.
That's never happened in my life.
No, indeed. Exclusive original content. What have you been up to, Octopimp? Because, let's be honest, Dragon Ball has been floating around the place, and I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't have invested quite a lot of time into that.
So, I'm gonna say this right now. I didn't want to like Dragon Ball. I didn't want to like this game. I didn't want to.
Wow.
Well, okay.
All right. Well, what? Explain why first.
I don't.
That's weird attitude.
I don't like versus fighters normally. So I don't. I refuse to play Skullgirls with multiple characters. I only played Skullgirls with one character. I have tradition.
I cheated that game hard.
I played
button mashing.
Yeah, because for me it's tough to learn combos for one character. Like I sit down and I have to learn combos for one character, and in versus games I'm thinking I gotta learn combos for 3 characters, and then I gotta learn how to use assists. But I sat down, and the game is actually surprisingly easy to pick up. It's one of those, easy to play, difficult to master kinds of games, I think. And I really ended up liking it a lot. Like there are literally clips on my stream of me like laughing and having a good time, and then be like, no, I'm not having fun with this. I hate this game.
Well, yeah, I was so surprised yesterday when we were talking about this game, because I had seen you tweet multiple times being like, I mean, it's not that great because it's just Dragon Ball.
Like, it's just Dragon Ball. Like, who cares?
Like just Dragon Ball. It's like, whatever. It's like every assist fighter. So like, I'll play it a little bit, but I'm not going to stick with it. And as of last night, you were like, every time I play a game, I just want to be playing Dragon Ball.
Well, no, okay. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said I wanted to play more Dragon Ball. Okay, listen. All right, let me get the record straight here. So
too late.
God damn it. All right. So first of all, the game looks amazing. It's Arc System Works, and they gave it the Guilty Gear treatment where they did the shading on the models.
Those beautiful cell shades.
Those beautiful cell shades. And they used Unreal 4. Gear was done in Unreal 3, and this is done in Unreal 4, so they have the new engine. So everything looks really good. The gameplay is fun. The problem is that it is an assist fighter, so sometimes you will get into those matches where you get hit once and then you don't get to play for like 14 seconds.
Yeah, it's like, right, well, I'm just going to go and get a drink now, and I'll come back when that juggle combo that you have somehow mastered by watching 40 hours of YouTube has finished at some point.
Yeah, and I thought Tekken was bad with those kinds of like, oh, you get launched into this long combo. But no, I mean, it's like it's an assist game, so it's doubly bad. Like you really, you get touched once, and if they have like meter, like forget it. Like you're going for a ride. But it's really, really fun. And honestly, as frustrating as it can be, I think the combos and everything in it are really fun to do when you successfully pull them off. And like when you get that cosmic brain moment where you get a read on your opponent and they're just like stuck in the corner for the entire match, and then they get so mad that they rage quit on you, you feel pretty good about yourself. You're like, I'm a genius.
This is why fighting games can't fucking maintain their player base, because of shit like that.
Yeah, it's like, true.
Who would want to stay playing in that scenario?
And what's funny about that you bring that up is I mean, we can talk about the numbers. I mean, this game sold 2 million copies in 5 days. That is
the most successful PC fighter by several orders of magnitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is not only did it sell that many, selling that many is pretty good for any game. 2 million in 5 days is pretty good. 2 million in 5 days for a fighting game? Like, to put that in perspective, Street Fighter V sold 1.5 million in a year.
Well, that's a bad comparison, because that one did particularly poorly within its first year. Because it was an incomplete game compared to like Street Fighter 4, I think, which came out really strong out of the gate.
Yes, that's true.
But even then,
back to the idea that people just wanted a good Dragon Ball game.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
The last Dragon Ball Fighter we got was part of the Budokai series, right? Or
it was the one on DS, which actually Arc System Works did the sprite work for, I believe. But you know what's funny about that, and I'm glad you brought up Street Fighter 4, because remember what was happening before Street Fighter 4 came out? That was like the dark time.
Fighters were dead. Fighters were basically dead. Yeah.
Yep. And Street Fighter 4 revived everything. It brought everything back. So that's an apt comparison. I think this is kind of, I mean, not that fighting games were dying before this, but we were kind of getting into a lull. And I'm really glad that everything's being revitalized again. I mean, even just now, there's what is it? The Summit of Power. It's the Summit series for Dragon Ball FighterZ, and they've done like Summit has done like Dota and CS tournaments and things like that.
Dota.
Yeah, and so we're already getting, and it has a $10,000 prize pot bonus. Like that's kind of insane, like that we're already getting this early on into the game's lifespan, like tournaments like this, and we're getting really huge turnouts for tournaments and locals. And I think it's #1 at CEO right now for signups. Like it's
I was gonna ask about Evo. Looking at all the different Evo games, I wonder if that's gonna be the one people care about the most.
I want to see the stream numbers on that. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is people signing up for this and people interested in the game are from all different fighting games. So, we have people from Tekken, we have people from Guilty Gear, we have people from Street Fighter, you have people from Marvel, you have people from Smash. You have people who play Melee getting into this game. This is the first fighting game I've seen that is pulled from all of the different communities and into one, because like everybody likes Dragon Ball. So everybody wants to get into it. So yeah.
Well, I'm sure it probably helped a lot that Marvel was terrible. So most of the people that were going to play Marvel just moved over to Dragon Ball instead.
Yeah. Well, actually, what's funny is MBCI, as lukewarm as it was actually still getting entrants. Not a lot of people were watching it, but people were still coming to tournaments. So while the casual scene might be dead, there were still people that were interested in playing it in a competitive setting. However, it sort of had this doom and gloom over its head that, Marvel is dead, which I think was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think it sort of is just going to like eventually sort of fade away. And
it
just
might,
do that.
unless there's a possibility of a big revival on something like that. You look at Street Fighter V and it did launch poorly. It didn't launch as poorly as Marvel did, but
yes,
it didn't do well. And a year on, it's a much better game that's got a lot more hype behind it.
Yeah,
it's possible that you could see that with Marvel.
But like, what would it take?
Yeah, that's the question.
I don't know what would they have to do to Marvel.
Pretty huge roster update, I think, for one.
Yeah,
X-Men. I think the only way they could possibly, the only way to get people back into Marvel, would be, well, make the UI more interesting. I mean, that's like that game is so awful to look at. Like, I hate looking at that game. I mean, I hate the animations in that game, but that's not really an issue they can fix at this point. But I think the biggest thing they could do would be like next edition of Marvel coming out, and the big thing is like the X-Men are back. Like put in Wolverine, put in Magneto, put in Storm, put in Sentinel, put in all that stuff, and be like, we're putting in all the X-Men. It's happening. But just like I think it's too far gone at this point. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Do you guys feel like, honestly, the best thing to do would be to just not make another one for a long time?
No, like, I don't think that's the case. I feel
give it the time to be able to come back as like, whoa, Marvel versus Capcom is back.
I mean, that's why MVC3 did well.
Yeah.
I feel like with this one, though, rather than wait and have people think about the fact that Marvel versus Capcom sucked, come out with something that recaptures what made the last one so much fun comparatively, so that people can jump back in, rather than, because you want someone to play your shit, right? You don't want to just sit there and have people think like, man, what a bummer this shit was. I like the idea of down the road coming out and being like, look what we got. But because it's it isn't like, okay, we made a game that people loved and we're gonna rest on our laurels for a while. It's, oh my God, what do we do with this
We made
shit?
a game that people fucking hated, but it's still there and we still invested a bunch of money in it. We should probably try and revive it. I mean, that's what you're seeing a lot of companies doing this right now. You're seeing Ubisoft doing a lot of it. We have, three games minimum, where you got something like The Division, you've got Ghost Recon, you've got For Honor, and you've got Rainbow Six kind of as your 4 games. At least 3 out of 4 of those launched in states that were like, this is a disaster.
Right.
And since then, the most obvious success is Rainbow Six, but there's been a lot of effort to revive The Division, and it is a lot better now, apparently. I don't speak from experience. I went back and played a little bit of it, but I'm not far enough in the game to really notice the improvements. But they're talking about endgame stuff. They're talking about reasons to come back and play. They made significant updates to Ghost Recon, a game which, again, had a pretty lukewarm reception. Once you put that much money into a game, you can take advantage kind of as the always online games as a service model to make significant improvements, and to the point where the game is far, far better. Is Capcom going to do that? Or are they just going to try and, throw it out the window and give it another shot at some other time? I don't know.
Capcom never done that before? Like, I don't know that Capcom's the company that does that.
What? That just throws it out the window and makes another one?
No, I mean, going back to it and like, let's fix this.
The whole games and service thing. Well, no, they tend to release, especially with fighting games, updated versions of that, which we've got past the point of them saying they would stop doing, and then they went and did it anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the way I look at it is this. So the games at EVO this year, there is one of main games. There's one Capcom game. One.
Right.
Damn.
Capcom for a long time was the fighting game company, right?
But does this have to do with sponsorship? Like, I don't know about EVO sometimes. Does it have to do with sponsorships?
Well,
or does it have to do with games people want to play?
Well, it is mostly politics. It's mostly politics and money for what gets in. But here's the thing. That is also an indicator that the only game that either way, let's look at it from both sides.
You're right. If they didn't pay to play, then no one would be playing it.
So not only, so let's look at it from a fan perspective. If it's games that fans want to play, NBCI didn't make it in, SF5 did. If it's from games that they have to sponsor to make it into EVO, SF5 made it in, NBCI didn't. And NBCI isn't even on Capcom Pro Tour. They call it Capcom Pro Tour because they were expecting it to be multiple games. It's one game.
Right.
It's SF5.
That is pretty bad.
Yeah, they may as well just call it the Street Fighter Pro Tour. Because if NBCI is not even going to be on the Pro Tour, they didn't even pay for it to be into EVO. what other fighting game do they have at this point? It's just SF5. That's it.
And it does make me think they've got to make some effort to bring MVCI back.
Yep.
Like they can't just leave it.
Yeah.
That's just too much of an. Even if you could argue that they didn't spend as much money on this as they should have, that's still a lot of fucking money invested in a game that flopped from pretty much every possible perspective.
Yeah, it was bad. It didn't sell well. I mean, there were more people playing Skullgirls than MVCI, like, at any given time. I think there's so many screenshots of like 0 concurrent players on MVCI on Steam.
Totally, yeah.
It's bad.
That's
it's
rough.
real bad. I mean, and like I said, it might be, and like, to be fair, I don't think the gameplay of that game is that bad. It's not my cup of tea, but I don't think it's that bad. It's just like, it's this sort of like vicious cycle where everybody saw Chun-Li's face and they were like, oh my God, this is going to be the worst game ever. It looks so horrible. And then they fixed it. But by then the damage was already done. And I feel like, okay, so not to go on too much of a rant, but like I think that if you have a poor launch for a game, but you fix it later, that's a tall order. Like it's so hard to get that goodwill.
It does
back.
work sometimes.
It does.
Diablo 3.
Yeah, Diablo or Final Fantasy 14.
Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 14 also had the same thing. But like, you really have to put the time and resources into it to fix it.
And no matter what, you're never gonna capture what you could have had you launched and nailed it at launch.
Yes, exactly. And
never.
But the double whammy of fighting games losing most of their audience after a certain point, oh my God, it's such a perfect storm of horribleness to like have a bad launch for a fighting game and then try and get that audience back later. Oh man, good luck.
Well, because the core of the
luck.
fighting game isn't just the playing of the game, it's playing versus another human being.
Yep.
And if there's no one playing it, you're not gonna log in to play it.
No.
And it's just watch it go down the drain. And that's just
It's a perfect storm of difficulty for them to recover from it. You know, like, I mean, even Dragonball FighterZ, which sold incredibly well, has lost a large portion of its consistent user base because that's how it is.
That's how fighting games are. Yeah.
That's how it is.
Most people give up.
And yeah, that's the facts, you know? And so to try and recover from a poor launch and poor, public opinion of that game and it being a fighting game, oh man, I just don't see it happening.
Tricky.
I just really don't.
Tricky.
Yeah. But that's me. So, but Dragonball FighterZ, really good. Really good game. I'm having
to play that instead.
Yeah, it's one of those games where, speaking as somebody who's not good at fighting games but enjoys them, it's one of those games where if you can't like perfectly nail a combo, whatever you do is still gonna look fucking cool.
Everything was cool. That's what's fun about watching it.
That helps.
That's what I can't wait to see it at Evo. Is like, it's fun to watch. It looks cool.
It is, and it's clear, right? It has clarity that Marvel vs. Capcom did not have for me, where I would be like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. When I'm watching Dragon Ball FighterZ, I can tell like, oh shit, he assisted and brought this guy in, and this guy did this, and then like, whoa, that looked so cool, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of clarity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing is that like I know from playing that game that I am playing people who are maybe not familiar with this type of fighting game. Maybe they've played, I'm not trying to, call any communities out here, but maybe they did come from another competitive platformer game and they're not familiar with.
What game would that be? What game would that be?
Oh, PlayStation All-Stars.
Right.
The titan of the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
We speak with venerated tones.
Yes, of course. Only the most respect for PlayStation All-Stars and Parappa the Rapper, who is top tier in that game. So anyway, I will start doing these things and these setups that are extremely difficult and extremely, mix up heavy. And I can tell that they're getting frustrated because I got rage quit on 4 times in a row by different people for doing setups with a character because that's versus games.
But you are destroying the player base one person at a time by
that's
playing
not
properly.
My intent. I'm just trying to win.
Stop playing properly.
I know it's all on me, but it's just the thing that really is, I guess, a little confusing to me. It's you all right there, buddy?
I want to. Can we create a fake documentary about how you think you're the one ruining the fighting game community?
Specifically, yeah.
You specifically think you're so good. You're just like, I keep beating people and they keep leaving, and it's my fault. I'm the one who apologize to like professional players. Like, I'm really sorry.
No, it's one of those things that's just like, you know, they get caught in this vortex and they get caught in this mix up and they'll quit. And it's like, to me, as somebody who, you know, wants to get better and compete and be good, it's like, that is so counterintuitive. Like, the only way to get better and to fight something that you're losing to is to experience it and try different things and solutions, or look them up and then do them in practice and see if they'll help your game. To just quit and remove yourself from the situation is like the number one way to get worse.
Or
like, that is the number one way to get,
or button mash.
Or button mash. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I do think that you need to be a certain type of person to put up with.
You absolutely do. You've got to be a very specifically competitive individual to put up with that kind of shit and get good enough at any rate. You know, I like fighting games. I'm not good at any of them. You know, I'd like to think I could hit you a couple of times in any given fighting game, but outside of that, that will be it. And I look at it and I'm thinking, I'm never going to be good at fighting games. Yeah. And I have to imagine that's the vast majority of people as well, which is why, you know, when you do things like launch without a story mode or whatever, you actually are doing your game a huge fucking disservice, because you might think, oh, well, who plays the fucking story mode of a fighting game past the first couple of weeks or whatever? Well, it's like, well, actually...
I think the Dragonball FighterZ story mode is really interesting too. It's like broken up into 3 different arcs throughout the entire thing. They'll be like, hey, maybe try doing this. You know, they like try to teach you as you go.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's often like you can play it as an introductory kind of thing. You could play it as something involving a story, but more to the point, it means you don't have to immediately go online and get your ass handed to you. Like, you have a mode where you can at least gain some familiarity with the game, even if it's a very, very basic level of familiarity, which is why it's important to have something like that in there. It helps, you know, just coax you into the game and get you ready to be completely obliterated online.
That's why I feel like it was pretty heinous that Tekken didn't have a tutorial mode at all. Everything to learn that game was either through other people or through like online tutorials. I thought that was a pretty unforgivable sin.
I learned that game by destroying Cry and his friends.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I'm horrible at Tekken. I am so bad at Tekken. My skill set and the way that my gaming brain works does not gel with that game.
I did surprisingly well with that one, and I think it's just down to very basic little things about it. Even though I'm fucking terrible at it, the basic fundamentals somehow translate quite well to Tekken.
Sure, that's totally understandable, and that's like really cool. It's I am really impressed with people that can understand Tekken. I personally can't. I have a lot of friends who are big into Tekken, and it's awesome when they're good. Like watching, like I watched E-League the other day, and watching people who are good at Tekken is super cool. It's like, wow, you understand how to do all these crazy juggle combos and, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And but you know, that's not how it gels for me. But I still had fun playing it, you know, as a player, just like messing around with friends and just being like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up this character and try him out and see how he plays.
Do a lobby.
Learn a couple basic things and then just run with that. So
it's I'm interested to see what's going to happen when Soul Calibur comes out, because I think we all probably have memories of how good we thought we were at Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah,
and I can't wait to have that proved completely false. It's just like, oh, I was so good on the Dreamcast. I was fucking wrecking it as Nightmare. It was great. Yep. And I'm going to go online and I'm going to be like, what is any of the things you just did to me? I don't understand. So I remember some combos from Soul Calibur 2, and I've been ring outed like 5 times already before I even executed one of them.
Yeah, somebody just guard impacts you and then just like totally just like takes half of your health.
That's it. And again, another important thing about like a game like Soul Calibur often having a really like good single player mode keeps you, at least you've got something else to play that doesn't completely destroy you, you know, if you go online. So there's a possibility.
Yeah. I loved Edgemaster mode where you would go around collecting the different weapons. I thought that was super fun. And like every character had their own little backstory and stuff like that. I thought
Soul Calibur 3 had all sorts of crazy shit. Even Soul Calibur 1, you went around the world and it's just like, oh, well, on this level, you're sinking into quicksand. On this level, the enemy is a vampire.
Yeah.
That was cool as hell.
Soul Blade on PS1 had the same thing, where you would go around and like some enemies could only be damaged by throws, and like some enemies could only be hurt while you were juggling them and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so that was always.
I think you definitely need a game like that, a mode like that in a fighting game. We had so much fun with Mortal Kombat 9, just doing the test your luck mode, the slot reels. So it's like you have no hands.
Yeah.
That's a great equalizer in a group. If you throw that mode on there, it's like, oh, this guy's really good at fighting games, but now you have no face. Perhaps you will not be as good now. Oh, he's still very good. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now you have no feet also. That was a great mode. Fucking killer.
Somebody brings up, I totally forgot about this. The character creator in Soul Calibur was also pretty fun.
Yes.
Like making your own custom characters and like doing the campaign stuff, and like that weird strategy game that was in 3 where it was like sort of like Dynasty Warriors where you had to like go to the different
different
zones
towns and shit.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I can't remember what that was called. Like, might have been called Chronicles of the Sword or something like that. It's
Chronicles of the Blade, something like that.
Maybe, I don't know, but it was all good. You need crazy modes of your fighting games, is my conclusion, because everyone else is going to quit because they're weak and they can't handle the pressure.
Yep, it's true.
It's the reality of it.
Shout out. So I was looking up the new Soul Calibur stuff, and shout out to the official Twitter for back in January posting characters throughout the games and looking at these GIFs of the way they're dressed as time progresses.
So Sophia in particular is a pretty big offender.
Yeah, she starts off looking like fully armored, like a badass, and then just clothes starts falling over time. She starts like, "Ooh, this is too much." Yeah.
Yes, it was a little odd in that. It's like you've got your character for that, which is Ivy, whose breasts grow per iteration of the series. But then.
Is Ivy the one where there was that tweet that blew up where they were like, man, I wonder if they're gonna, cool it on the whole like Ivy being a dominatrix thing.
And literally
they were like, oh no, they went the other direction.
No, they kept going so hard.
Yep.
They doubled down.
What did they expect? Like they were gonna change that character. There'd be a fucking riot on your hands. You can't get rid of the default costume. But here's the thing about Ivy is she used to have all sorts of different costumes, including her alt costume was her fully clothed, with the fucking frilly like little thing around her neck and everything, kind of Victorian era dueling costume or whatever.
Yeah, well,
you already had that option.
Yeah, she's Cervantes' daughter.
Yeah.
So she's like the daughter of like a pirate. So
yeah, pirate and a nobleman kind of thing.
Yeah. So she's got those different aspects. So
and is also insane because of doing weird experiments and shit.
Yeah, the weird alchemy stuff.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Of course, totally.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than weird alchemy. What else have we been playing? Who's got something?
So good.
I played Where the Water Tastes Like Wine.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Yes. Tell us about what that actually is.
Tell me.
So it's an indie game that is about old American folklore. The concept of it is that you, at the beginning, sit down to a game of poker. And you essentially, just to keep it short, you lose to like this devil wolf.
Sure.
And the wolf tells you that in order for you to like pay your debt, he's going to strip you of your flesh and send you walking around America, around the United States, gathering stories.
Seems like it would become awkward pretty quickly. It's like, how are we going to explain this?
Nobody seems to see you as a skeleton, but you see yourself as a skeleton.
That's very progressive of them.
Yeah. So
we don't see flesh.
Yeah, they see you, but they don't say anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. They're quite woke, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire game is you like walking, moseying even from state to state, meeting people and hearing stories.
Your walk is it's not even a walk. It is very much a mosey. Yeah, you're chilling.
Yeah,
the art style of this game
will get to in a moment. But you walk around the country, and different houses will have like little bloops, and sometimes you'll find like a campfire where somebody's just traveling, and you can trade stories with them, and you're trying to see like how your stories will develop, like how they'll change. So once you've told a story once, you might run into somebody who's like, I heard this story. It was about a friend of my nephew's, so I know that it's true. And here it is. And you're like, that was my story, but something's changed about it, right? And I think the end goal of this game is to have one of your stories become a story about a place where water tastes like wine. I assume.
Okay.
But so far, yeah, it's you as a skeleton walking around telling stories and stuff. So here's the thing is the music is fucking incredible. The art is fantastic. It kills me how slow you move. Like the speed at which you walk from place to you mosey from place to place.
You're telling me we need to accelerate the mosey. We need an accelerated mosey mod.
Well, there's like a mini game that you can do while you're moseying.
Okay.
That is where you whistle, and it's like a Simon Says whistle game. And while you're whistling, as long as you keep hitting the right buttons, you walk a little bit faster. So a lot of people were like, "But you have the whistling thing." From my perspective, the music in this game is so fucking awesome that having to whistle constantly and have that overlap with this amazing music bums me out.
Huh.
I was like, but I'm always whistling the same song, and sometimes it doesn't match the song that's playing, and the songs are so good, and that's what I want to listen to. I don't want to listen to myself whistling the same fucking song all the time.
Can't you hitchhike?
You can hitchhike. It bugged out for me often, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
You can go to the street and you can hitchhike with people, and every now and then somebody will be like, "You want to ride?" But I've realized there are like different things you can be doing at the same time while you're like if I'm hitchhiking and also moseying at the same time and the car shows up, I can't get in the car. Which is a big old bummer because it's so rare for somebody to be like, "You seem like a nice skeleton boy.
Yeah.
You want to get in this car?
Yeah.
I'll strap you to the roof."
Is there a cap for how fast you can go while you're whistling? Because I would love that if there was a mod
you don't constantly accelerate.
Yeah, no. I want somebody to remove the cap for that, and as a mod, and so you just get faster and faster. So you just pew! Yeah, tool assisted speed run. You just remove the cap for it. And you just like cross the country in like 2 seconds.
Actually, just becomes a DDR style rhythm game.
Yes.
In between the stories, where you just try to max out your speed.
The coolest part of the game is sitting down at campfires with people and sharing stories, because like one of the other obvious goals of the game when you're playing is that there are multiple people who are just on some kind of a journey, right? And if they ask you for a certain type of story and you're able to deliver, they'll tell you more and more about themselves. So it's about like all different types of people that were living in the United States during the Depression era, which is like the really cool part of the game, I think, is how many different types of people they wound up including in that.
Yeah. It's
shout out to Quinn, my sweet child who ran away from home and adopted 2 dogs. He's adorable.
It's very Grapes of Wrath, isn't it? It's like the same sort of thing.
Looks it, yeah.
Yeah. Very Steinbeckian.
Yeah. Also, apparently the Devil Wolf is voiced by Sting.
That is bizarre.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
That's
why?
Why?
No idea.
That's
People
fantastic.
kept saying he was the narrator. I don't think he's the narrator. I think that he's just the voice of the wolf that you hear at the beginning.
That's a very specific person to bring it on for that.
Isn't it, though?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, that is very strange.
Yeah, I should check that out.
Well, there you go. Where the water tastes like wine is
Where the water tastes like wine. A lot of people have really been loving this game because it's very chill. It's super, super chill. It's just, for me at the time that I was playing it, I was appreciating the points where like I got stories and not appreciating the in-between. It made it feel more repetitive than it was, I think. But a lot of people are liking how peaceful the game feels, you know?
Yeah. It's cool. I love the art style in it particularly. I like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Who else has got anything else they've been playing? Jesse apparently even had notes for this show, so he must have been playing something.
I had notes, man. I got a whole bunch of notes. I played Abandoned Ship.
Yes, I've played that.
Yeah, so my opinion, I think it's is it in beta, early access,
early access,
whatever it's in right now.
Yeah.
I think it's hit or miss. There's a lot of really cool things in it, and there's a lot of things where I almost like lost my mind.
Tell me.
Basic concept is you are a cult member from some Cthulhu-esque cult, and you escape into the open ocean on a boat with a crew, and you end up on you're being chased down by these cultists and their giant kraken creature, and so you need to go from port to port and try to like hire crew, fight them off, find a way to defeat these bad guys. That's sort of the premise of the game.
Yep.
Each part of the game takes place on sort of a square grid area of this world, and you can unlock the map in this area, and sometimes there's a port, sometimes there's not. There are multiple things where you can interact. Very, like, I guess kind of FTL-ish.
It is very FTL-ish to the point where it makes no sense that the areas of the map have fucking gates on them in the middle of the ocean.
Right. So the square, you'll imagine there's a north, south, east, west points. Sometimes those are gates, and sometimes those are like, you need to have 5 interactions with something on the map.
With something before you can go along. It's completely arbitrary. It's the most gamey of game.
Right. So then once you do that, you move to the next area, so on and so on. I think there's some cool interactions in the towns. The way you can upgrade your ship, I think, is interesting. I hate the UI of the interaction with like upgrades and stuff. When I played, one of the first things I did is I went to the so I'm trying to like describe this the best I can. If you imagine your town interaction screen, the main portion of it is upgrades to your ship. This huge big section of like, this is your ship and these are the things you can move, and you just like mouse click and move, and like now it's added to your ship. Or you can, it seems very simple. Down the corner is a thing about buying and selling food. And it's like, okay, it's gonna be this much gold gets you this much food. I was like, oh, okay. So I moved over and I was like, oh, I think that's too much food. Moved back. And I was like, it didn't say I got any food. Moved over again, moved back. I looked up, I now had 5 gold. What I had done is literally, because there is no accept command, anytime you say, like, I want 10 food, it literally gives you instantly 10 food. There is no, like, I'm trying to balance like, what I think I need. And so what it did is I kept buying for 15 and selling for 5 every time I moved the bar. Or maybe it's just like click, whatever the case may be. Every time I did anything, I was buying for 15, selling for 5. And so I literally screwed myself on an entire run, had to restart.
That really sucks.
Yeah,
well,
and I was like...
it's one of those parts of, like, early access UI where it's like, this is functional, and then you realize when you put it out to a large group of people, this is actually very easy to break, and what you would think would be highly unlikely is actually far more likely than you initially believed.
Yeah.
Right. And it happened, and I was just like, oof, okay, strike one.
What did you think about what do you think about the combat in that game?
So the combat, the ship-to-ship combat, I think once you start getting into the weapons and you start seeing the different types of weapons, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. I love that you can move closer and further away from the ship and you can have different weapons. I like that you can send guys over. The thing I hate the melee combat in that game. Because
it's a shit.
The screen does not go in. So you're fighting with a bunch of little characters that if they all group up together and a fight breaks out, like finding the right one to click and save before he's instantly killed is a pain in the ass. So I kept losing people in melee fights to the point where I was like, I'm just going to avoid it. I'm not going to fight anybody anymore. But then the game's like, by the way, they're fishmen who will start boarding your ship. So now you have to fight. And it's just, there's so much happening. And you're like all the way out looking down this 2.5D view.
They don't let you zoom in enough for that for some reason. The way I found to get around it was just being very careful with my bandboxing. If you select the little class icon above the dude, then that selects him as well, and that's much easier to then bring him in and out of a fight when you're keeping an eye on health bars. The problem is once you learn to do that, all melee becomes trivial. Like, I never got to a point where I was like, I'm going to lose someone in a melee fight. No, because once I've boarded their ship, especially if I've rammed them, so I've knocked them, like, to the floor so I can get on before they get back up, I've always have 6 guys versus, like, maybe they're 4, and I just focus one dude at a time, pull back any guy that's weakened, and that's the as far as the melee combat goes in terms of depth. There is nothing... You can't, like, get different weapons for you guys in melee. There's no abilities you can use in melee.
It's just about the number of, like, melee bars they have versus the enemy.
It's your damage and health versus their damage and health, and there's no strategy to it whatsoever. And I found it was actually the optimal strategy to win every fight. Like, I'd hit their rigging once so I could get in nice and close to them. My maneuver bar would be ready. I'd ram them, brace before impact, because that's easy, jump on their ship, and then just murder them. And you get the most money that way anyway, because you don't sink their ship. So you get a little bit extra cash. So that becomes optimal strat.
I did enjoy when they, like, I like the ship-to-ship combat. I'm sure I discovered very quickly it's probably very boring to watch on Twitch. But, like, I had a fun time. I had a fun time being like, fire all those fucking cannons. Let's kill it. It's fun to look at. I liked it over time when they started throwing weather mechanics. And so now waves are crashing into you and you have to brace. And if you don't, your guys get flung off the ship and you have to send dudes to go, like, reel them back in. Meanwhile, you're in a firefight. And I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, when they up the complexity of the fights, that's when the game's at its best. Especially when you've got some, like, cool different weapons and strategies to use. I managed to equip, like, flamethrowers and fire cannons. And I was like, my strat was to get in nice and close with that and just soil their deck with fires everywhere, so the AI would be constantly running off to put out fires instead of actually charging their guns to shoot at me, so I'd never take any damage. But it's like, that seems like that's the best part of the game, is the combat aspect of it. And the exploration, it's a bit lackluster because it's like you said, it's just running around a square and there's little icons on the map. It's like, oh, there's an event there. Either I go to it or I don't, you know? And there's a very limited selection of events right now, as far as I can tell. So it ends up being like, well, do you want a combat-focused FTL that's kind of based in the age of piracy with a bit of weird Cthulhu shit going on? If so, Abandoned Ship is mostly that.
I thought the weird Cthulhu shit was like, it kept my interest longer than if it was just like, you're a pirate on the sea. I was like, I kind of want to see where this is going. So it kept my interest, but I think after a while I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I don't know if there's any more to look at right now.
Well, what bothered me is, like, when the Kraken attacks, which it inevitably will at some point, it didn't seem like it was any real threat at all. I imagine,
you would always, like, escape it every single time.
Yeah, I imagine there's a boss fight eventually involving that where it's a lot harder, but the whole cultist thing seemed kind of wasted to me because of the fact that all I was really doing was fighting regular dudes and then those, like, squiddy dudes that come over and try and attack you. It's like, I wanted to see much more crazy shit. Like, I want to see that boat do cult magic or whatever. I want to see them summon the horrors of the fucking warp. Maybe I didn't get far enough into the game, but it seemed like the cult bit was a bit squandered in my eyes.
The Kraken bit is cool when it happens, but it doesn't, if you know what to do, it's the same thing every time. The Kraken would show up and you'd be like, oh no, I have to go cut at his arms, and then
you escape.
Get a guy at the steering wheel and try to escape, and then he'd maybe grab me one more time, and then I'd cut at the arms, and then he'd be like, oh, fuck this, I'm out, and then you'd escape every time.
It's just an event that guarantees you've got to do a bit of hull repair, you know?
Right.
It's not there. It's interesting to look at it, and it's like, would I ever play this as much as I played FTL? And it would be like, absolutely not. And then I'm like thinking, why? You know, like, what is it that Abandoned Ship has done, like, poorly compared to FTL? And I think a lot of it, to me, is like how not in any way desperate the combat seems to be. Like in FTL, it always felt like you were fighting fires and barely keeping your ship together. In Abandoned Ship, maybe it's just because it's tuned too easy right now. It's just like the combat seems to be fairly inconsequential to you.
You don't feel like you have to abandon ship?
No, I don't feel like I have to abandon ship at all, as it turns out.
Got it.
I'm actually quite secure on my ship.
I think there's two aspects to that as well. There's the fact that you feel really secure, but also the rewards you get for, like, if they want to tune it the way that it should be really like crazy combat, but awesome rewards.
Yeah, the rewards are stingy at best. It took me ages.
I got 50 gold. Like, cool.
Yeah, and then you end up having to spend it on supplies and repairs as well.
Yeah.
So you lose a bunch of it then. It's like, it took me a while to get a new boat, but then the new boat, we were talking about this earlier, Dodger, the way that every ship was so radically different in FTL. In this, like, the boats, they're basically the same. They just have more HP, and like, I got a brig. It's like, okay, I could fit another cannon on it, I guess. Right. Well, but it does the same thing. You know, I'm doing the same thing regardless. So those upgrades feel like just going through the motions rather than anything particularly special. It was cooler getting, like, the cool weird weapons and shit. You know, it's like, oh, this is a mortar that shoots acid. It's like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the bit I really like. But you'd think that upgrading your ship and getting a bigger, cooler ship would be a bigger deal than it is. But it's kind of not. It doesn't feel that way anyway, because everything handles the same way. It doesn't play differently. All the ships play exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, it seems like it's got promise, but even as polished as it is, it's lacking that X factor that would make me play it over and over again. You know, it's like, you get a couple of runs out of me, but then there's no way I'm playing this again, because I've seen all the game has to show me.
That's too bad.
Yep. It was an experience, but I was like, all right, I've gotten all I need out of this for the moment, unless they make like huge changes in the future.
Well, you know, it's early access. Hopefully they will, you know, with a ton of updates. You know, if you add enough shit into a game, it can be interesting, but there's just something about the core of it that isn't as compelling as FTL is. So it's like, well, I could just go play FTL again. Unless I'm really, really out for this whole Age of Sail thing, which in this case I'm kind of not.
Yeah, that's normally the sign in my mind if I'm playing something and I go, honestly, I just really wish I was playing this other game.
The
that's
other
similar.
thing that was like that, yeah. It's such the way with fucking card games. You go and play a new card game online or whatever. It's like, I just got away from one of these. And actually, I think I'd rather go back to that one than learn this one or whatever. Because, you know, it's not different enough. It doesn't add something that would get me interested in this whole thing again. Well, that's that. Played a little bit of Altos Odyssey.
How's that?
It's as good as the first one, I think. It's probably the best way to describe it. It's, you know, they haven't made any radical changes. I can also never spell Odyssey under any circumstances.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
It's a tough one. That's a difficult one there. 'Cause I'm trying to type it in. I'm getting it wrong every time.
Is it Odyssey?
It is exactly that. Yes.
Like
that
the Odyssey?
Yeah.
Indeed, Altos Odyssey, which for those who do not know is a mobile game about skiing and rescuing your llamas. At least it was initially. I don't know. The llamas don't seem to feature as prominently in this one. I think you may have moved past llamas to a larger world.
Is this the sequel to Ski Free?
It might as well be to some extent.
Okay.
There is a lot of skiing in it. There's no Yeti to the best of my knowledge, though. So
Okay, yet.
as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a fun sort of infinite runner, or in this case, infinite skier, where you know you're trying to do backflips to get a longer scarf, which makes you go faster and gives you a temporary speed boost and all that kind of thing. Collect as much shit as you can because that'll give you upgrades and all that sort of stuff. So the first one was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really nicely put together. This one has great music, great visuals. The controls are tight. So if you're looking for a runner to play in short sessions, you could definitely do a lot worse than this one.
When I look at this game, all I imagine is the characters from Journey trying to like make their trek to the mountain, and then some asshole skis by them.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's exactly it has that aesthetic to it.
Yeah, the
I
aesthetic
forgot
is
that there
very
was
similar.
a game called Journey, and so I thought that you were referring to the band members of Journey as characters, and I was like, what an odd way to refer.
I mean, Steve Perry is kind of a character in
yeah.
You know, I guess it's fair. I guess it works.
Don't stop believing.
Indeed.
Just don't stop.
It's fun as hell though. Once you get some momentum going in a game like this, it feels good, very good. So they've tightened it up versus the last one. So it's worth another visit if you like the first one. And also, frankly, it's pretty cool to support premium mobile gaming. You know, there's no bullshit with this. Pay a few dollars, get a really, really good game. Simple as that.
I prefer that vastly.
I would much prefer that, yeah. You know, and all those little upgrades to things you just collect in games, so.
Yeah. Cool.
So much bullshit going on with mobile when it comes to a game. You look at it and you probably just not going to pick it up because you'll realize, oh, it says get. I wonder what bullshit it's going to throw at me 2 hours down the line when I start enjoying it. It's like, hey, time to buy, or something along those lines.
Do you want to recharge your energy? It's like,
you want to do this? You want to do that? You want to buy this starter pack? You want to, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So much of that on mobile. Way too much. All right. Any last words before we take a break?
I don't think I've been playing anything else. I mean, I'm playing this Digimon game, but it's not worth talking about.
Yeah, the only other thing I tried out that Monster Slayers game. That
is the one that's like Slay the Spire?
Yeah, it's not as good.
Okay,
at all
good to know.
And then Sam and I played through all of Dark Souls 3. It's my first time playing it, and it was super fun.
Would it have been super fun had you done it without a co-op partner?
I think so. I really love like the world of those games.
Yeah.
It became very obvious that my build was I'm playing this co-op build. Like if I had to do anything on my own, I'd be like, why do I barely do damage?
Yeah.
It was not.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I guess the other thing I wanted to bring up is I'm playing through Nioh for the first time, and it's so funny. It's so funny you bring up the world of that, because like I love the gameplay and build and character customization mechanics of Nioh, but fuck if I don't give two shits about the story of that game. I do not care at all.
Isn't that story some weird like
it's
power
based
fantasy where it's like a normal ass dude?
It's based on
it's apocryphal. It is based on a real thing.
Yeah, it's based on a real dude who came over from, I want to say, Ireland to Japan.
Called the Irish Samurai or something, like was his nickname.
Yeah, and he like ended up serving the shogun like in real life as a samurai. So it's loosely based on that, but like, and like I love the gameplay. It's super fun. It's Team Ninja. It's really fun. But like, fuck, as soon as the cutscene starts, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Like,
gotcha.
So it's just like all the missions and levels and like fighting the bosses and doing all that shit is really fun. But then like as soon as it's like, oh no, we have to stop this mad samurai from overthrowing the shogun, I'm like, shut the fuck up and let me fight monsters. Like, stop talking to me.
That is one nice thing generally about Dark Souls, is that it doesn't interrupt you all that much, especially not when you're making a mistake.
Yes. Yeah, it's great.
All right, well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what's been happening over the last couple of weeks. There's got to have been something. We'll find something, damn it. We'll be right back after the break. You watch the Co-optional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Podcast. All of the sounds you've been hearing during the breaks today from Ben Prunty's Into the Breach soundtrack. Go check that out. It is very, very good. So people are like, oh, it sounds like FTL. It should. It's the same composer.
Same boy.
Yep, he does some great stuff. And that's from the soundtrack to Into the Breach, which you can buy on Bandcamp. You can also pick it up on Steam. It's available as an add-on for the game itself.
Jesse just informed us of atrocities that are being committed on the internet.
Are these posters for a movie that is going to be bad anyway? So I don't know why you're so upset.
Oh,
I'm upset because they fucking look like there is a budget. There is a budget for this movie,
It's high. It's real big.
It's a big budget movie, and they're posters that are mimicking other posters. Look like garbage.
Ready Player One, their advertising campaign right now is to make their posters other posters from pop culture history. So literally shit like Goonies, Dirty Dancing, Breakfast Club.
Well, since the entire film is one giant annoying 80s reference, that makes sense. That marketing campaign makes sense. So what's wrong with it?
So it's just all I just don't. It's not. They're not good.
They're bad. Okay.
Bad posters.
All right, those are terrible. Okay.
Like one of them is Labyrinth, right? And there's like they have a reference for the exact art style that is on these posters, right? Because the poster already exists.
God, the Matrix one is abysmal.
Yeah,
the way that it's replicated is not good.
It's so bad.
I thought these were just created by fans or something.
Oh God,
those are real
posters. I wish.
Those are real posters that really exist, and it's insulting. You're like, who the fuck made these?
I can post the link to some of them right here. Yeah, that doesn't fit in my text box at all, but you get the idea. You know, some of you can probably make the effort to go there. Those are terrible. Though, I mean, not that I was expecting anything from the movie, because the book is terrible. I don't know if people have noticed that. Some people apparently didn't, because they gave them a lot of money for the license, the bloody thing. But, yeah, those posters are all so awful. Wow.
I don't like them. Not at all. And they just made so many of them. Rather than make like 2 or 3 that were really good, they made 12 that are all mediocre. And you're just like, who are you trying to sell this movie to?
I don't know.
The thing is, okay, I want you to look at the Labyrinth one. I know it hurts physically to do that, but look at the Labyrinth one. So they clearly, and I know what they did here. They have the Labyrinth one, right? But the face of the main character, whatever the Gary Stu of this movie, they took another photo of Bowie and referenced that. Yeah, they made him look like David Bowie, but not the Labyrinth David Bowie. They just took a different picture of Bowie and made him look like that. Like, if you look at Jareth over on the right there, and then whatever the guy's name is on the left, they didn't make him look like the Goblin King. They made him look like a different picture of David Bowie. This is so bad. It's so heinous. It's making me mad.
I just want to point out the things you notice in this when you look at it. Like, the Matrix one is where he's half trench coat, half jean jacket.
I don't even know.
Not okay. It's not okay.
It's a disgrace to everything and everyone. I mean, so is the book, and the movie will be as well. But really, did you have to take down decency with you as you launch this damn movie?
Octo noticed that when you look at the Blade Runner one, not only is she not holding a cigarette, she's holding a gun, but the flying car is the DeLorean.
Yeah.
And I just
references.
I just can't right now.
I mean, that's all that movie is going to be anyway. So,
God.
Of all the things you could watch, don't watch that one.
I read a paragraph of the actual book and I wanted to heave. I couldn't.
Klein is not a good writer. That is abundantly clear. I struggled through all of Ready Player One. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow, you are stronger than I.
I originally started by trying to listen to it and then realized it was a combination of Ready Player One, a bad book, and Will Wheaton, a bad narrator. And the combination of those two things were headache-inducing. So, but no, I struggled through the whole thing, hoping to find what exactly it was that people were so enamored by. And I realized it literally is just, hey guys, references. That's it. It's references the book. And that's why people like it. Right, cool. Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I know a lot of people who like it. Like, I'm willing to give it a try and see if it's something that I would like.
Feel free.
Bash on it when I have not.
See how far you get through it. Before you get so fucking infuriated by the references that you just want to throw the book in the fire.
Yeah, the references, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm with Dodger. I will not shit on this, but every indication is
I will shit on these fucking posters.
Oh yeah, the posters are
there. You go after that.
Saying, every indication about the production behind this is this isn't going to end up good.
Who knows? Maybe it could. Maybe bad source material actually leads to a good movie. That's possible, but I don't think so.
It just looked like somebody photoshopped their DeviantArt OC onto like movie posters.
That's
and
what I'm
like,
saying. Yeah.
but that's kind of what this character is. Like,
yeah,
he's this dude's
sorta.
OC, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's basically
It's his hedgehog character, is what you're saying.
yeah,
It's his first
Jesse the
album.
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is Jesse? I mean, I'm gonna Google Jesse.
Let's
yeah,
not.
Google Jesse the
Hedgehog?
Hedgehog.
Yeah, feel free.
I bet
with
there's
that.
many of them, actually.
Yeah,
There's
I can't
probably many
imagine what
Jesse the
other
Hedgehog.
good news there is this week. There's not a lot of, really, over the last couple of weeks, there have been little bits of news here and there, nothing massively groundbreaking, but we can cover the little bits.
Jesse the Hedgehog is boring as fuck.
Oh,
There
wait
you
a
go.
minute. Nope, there's a better one. Here's a good one.
There's many Jesse the Hedgehogs.
First things
You're
first,
insane.
rumor that, and which is confirmed but not
fuck.
confirmed by Eurogamer, that Diablo 3 is coming to Nintendo Switch.
Huh.
All right.
I'm curious about this because I saw that weird tweet that everyone was like,
Yeah.
"Is this coming to Switch?" And then people who actually work at Blizzard being like, weird that people assume that that's like we were showing off something else, but like, okay, which I can't tell if that's them trying to cover it up or
It pretty much seems to be. I mean, the thing is that that item already, that Nightlight, was merch from years ago. So
Right.
I think
Right.
it was clearly designed to do that. They haven't officially announced it yet. It may be that this leaked early, that it's not ready for consumption, but it does seem like, according to sources, that it will be coming to Switch. I mean, it's not outside the realms of possibility. They already have console versions of it that are actually pretty good for what they are.
It's cracking me up seeing so many people resident sleepering in chat over Diablo 3. Look, there are people who still play this game
I play every season. Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
I play
I
every
do
still plenty of
hardcore.
people
I
that
play
play it.
hardcore every season.
I just got
So-
my season 13 gear and my teddy bear that has blood coming out of his mouth.
Nice.
Just got that shit this past weekend. So,
Classic.
I will say I am not as into Diablo 3, but every time I play it, I still have fun.
Mhm.
Like there's like I have fun with that game. Like it's usually here's how it goes for me. Friends will be like, "Hey, you want to play in this Diablo season?" And I'll like look at my Blizzard launcher and be like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's do it."
Sure,
And
why
I'll,
not?
I'll
Yeah.
reinstall it and play and make a wacky build that's totally out there and super goofy and get some legendaries for it, and that's it.
And
Have
have
a
an
good time.
okay time. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you will have if you play Diablo. You'll have an okay time. It's
Yeah.
like and the console version is quite enjoyable. They did alter it significantly. I mean, they added a fucking dodge roll to it. It plays a little more arcadey than the PC
like
version
Gauntlet
does.
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's, the dodge roll is.
It feels like Gauntlet.
even
Yeah.
the camera angle's different.
Yeah, they changed
Oh.
the camera angle specifically. So, like, if they bring it in with all the updates, add Rise of the Necromancer, make sure, the good loot is coming in and that there's a decent amount of content. I mean, I wouldn't be averse to playing a game like that on a handheld at all, because we get back to that same damn situation and subject of, yeah, but it's portable now. And it's like, well, why do you care? Because it's portable now. You think about like certain games in a completely different light when you realize you could play them wherever you want to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it was I remember back with the PSP, Sony was making, I can't remember what they were called. They were really generic Diablo-like hack and slash games. There were several of them that had the word legend in them. That's how generic they were. They had the word legend in them, and I can't remember what the other word was. But they made
Dairy.
at least 3 of these things and
Day
put them,
Legend.
and put them on PSP, and that was incredible that they did that. And even go further back to the PS2 and think about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
No.
And how, like, oh, wow, that, it's Baldur's... Well, it's not Baldur's Gate, but it's fun for what it is. When it comes to stuff like a portable Diablo-like game, would I prefer to play Path of Exile? I don't know. Probably. Maybe that's too complex for a portable at that point. But I can see, having already played the console version of Diablo, that a portable version would be quite nice. Assuming it ran okay.
Diablo 3 and Path of Exile scratch different itches.
They
me.
do, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Wasn't Champions of Norath kind of the same thing too?
Yes, that's exactly what Champions of Norath was, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember that game. Yeah, I love those like dungeon crawly ARPG kind of things. I remember there was a Dungeon Siege one for the PSP that was really good too.
Yes.
Man, I love those. I love those games.
Yeah, I think I played that all the way through when I was working at Game. It's like, oh yeah, there's nothing happening today. Let's play this game. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah. It's very mindless and like just kind of like you get to blow stuff up and like
you get loot,
numbers.
you get loot, you get skill ups, you get different skills. You know, it doesn't need the depth of something like Path of Exile to be entertaining, especially on portable platform.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't see any harm with it coming to Switch. I'm just interested in how well it's going to run, if at all.
Sure.
You know, it may not run great. I know that consoles struggled with it on its initial release, and we've talked a little bit already about the way that some ports to Switch are not turning out well. Some of them are turning out absolutely horribly. Maybe that's the reason Blizzard didn't want to really announce this officially yet, that they're going to have to spend quite a long time getting this thing working well. Who knows? But I certainly don't see a harm in it. It's interesting that they flat out said we're not bringing Hearthstone to the Switch, but we will bring Diablo 3.
Huh. I wonder why they do that.
I guess they don't view the Switch as a tablet in the way that an iPad or a phone would be. And
well,
I guess that's true, isn't it? I mean, most people... It's very... The tablet functionality of the Switch is very minor.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's like touchscreen is not really something you think about. Obviously, in docked mode, it's completely useless. So, to start with, if you brought Hearthstone over, you'd literally need to add a fucking control method if you had it plugged in. Otherwise, you could only play it portably, which sounds really fucking stupid. So, yeah, it's weird that it has the functionality of the tablet, but it's so minor and just isn't used outside of the store.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw a Twitter thread about somebody saying like, please port Monster Hunter World to the Switch, and there was this like group of optimization people that were like, we'll do it for you, Capcom. We'll do it. We want to bring it to the
Galaxy,
Switch. And
actually.
Is it Iron Galaxy said
Iron
that?
Galaxy are the ones that said that. Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea how a game that almost chugs on PS4 Pro is going to run on the Switch.
Yeah, it does. It drops below 60 on that, but it's what's so fucking silly about it is that with the Monster Hunter situation, they literally already have a game. They have one. They've got Double X. They could put that on and bring it over here, no problem.
Yeah.
But they won't, because that's not their strategy right now. The strategy is not portable Monster Hunter in the West. It's console-based and PC-based Monster Hunter in the West.
And that did super duper well, so I think they're probably going to stick
with it. It did very well, yeah. And they haven't even had the PC release yet. You know, they'll probably sell another 1 million off the back of that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they're pretty happy with it. But honestly, I couldn't care less. You know, they can take the graphics and make it look like a DS game again as long as it runs well. Or literally port one of the 3DS versions. Put that on there.
Yeah, put Generations or Double Cross or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I'd play
it. We didn't get Double Cross over here. We only got Cross. We got Generations.
Yeah.
So, hey.
It's a strange one.
Right.
It's a strange thing is what they decide to bring over to Switch and what they don't sometimes.
Yeah.
And have you noticed that the brigade for people wanting to get things on Switch is quite a loud one?
Ooh,
they tend to get a little salty if people don't either confirm a Switch version or say, hey, yeah, we'll look into it at least. Like, I've seen launch trailers downvoted because, like, no Switch version, fuck you. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Then I don't even want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had no intention of even buying this game, but on principle, because you don't have it on Switch, I'm going to hate it.
I mean, it's the whole thing. I mean, Dragon Ball wasn't released on Switch, and a lot of people, like, there was a huge campaign to get them to release Dragon Ball on Switch.
Well, that isn't that an Unreal Engine problem? Because that's
I don't actually know why they couldn't do it.
Well, I know there was the mention around when Hat in Time wasn't getting a Switch port, And people were like, well, fucking why? And people said, because the Unreal 3 engine has real problems with Switch. Like, and the only people that could get it to work was Psygnosis. Like, and they did some sorcery to do it. I don't know what Unreal 4 is like on there. But I'm trying to think, like, can anyone think of an Unreal 4 engine game that's on the Switch right now?
I don't know.
Off the top, oh god, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is there one? I'm going to the list of recent Switch games now. Is there one, and does it run properly?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, I don't traditionally think of fighting games when I think of the Switch. I mean, they've really just never been sort of the focus of that community, other than, you know, Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, I don't want to say a whole lot, but I feel like a lot of these, like, no Switch port downvote kind of things is like justifying spending money on the Switch and then maybe not having the library that they want, you know?
Which surprises me, because frankly, the Switch library is really good.
Yeah,
like,
it's not that bad.
For this stage in its life, as long as you like indie games, you've got a lot of good choices. And you have some top quality AAA and a few great third-party games on that. You know, there is some shit going on the system, don't get me wrong. You know, it's lost this luster of having, like, almost a perfect library, as it were, because now it's getting some stuff that's a bit shitty. But honestly, it's getting a good number of games on a weekly basis.
You got Zelda, you got Mario. I mean, you got all the classics. You're getting Bayonetta 3. I mean, that's an exclusive, I think.
Yes, it is.
So,
Bayonetta.
I'm so excited for that.
It's so bizarre that Nintendo were the ones of all people to rescue Bayonetta.
Oh God,
Nintendo.
I mean, bless them for that, because that series is still real good.
Yeah, man. I need to spend some time to sit down again and play some more Bayonetta 2, because I didn't play anywhere near as much of that as I should have.
I think that game, it basically surpasses the first one in terms of gameplay
it's
and mechanics.
It's essentially perfect.
But I hate the story. I really hate the story in Bayonetta 2. I think it's bad. But
story.
I never really cared that much about the story. But I think the first story is actually a bit better. But man, just the way it plays and the way it looks is leaps and bounds better.
There's nothing better in that genre that exists. Like, I thought Bayonetta was like the best, and then Bayonetta 2 comes out. It's like, this is better.
Yep.
What's going to top this? Well, only something probably by the same company, really.
Yep.
And they haven't topped it yet, but I don't think they've tried. You know, I don't think Nioh's combat system wasn't better than Bayonetta's. It's nowhere near as complex. But then again, they were never trying to make it as complex. That wasn't the point.
Story was amazing. I love the story of Nier.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
But anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got there, but yeah, basically
here we are.
It's all I'm saying is it's cool to ask for a port. Just maybe don't threaten to kill the person if they say no.
Yeah, just don't be a dickball about it.
Yeah, just don't be a giant piece of shit about it. You know, I don't agree with this whole thing that NeoGAF coined, like port begging or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like they'd go on the PC guys every time they asked for something, and I remember NeoGAF mocking the whole thing to get Dark Souls on PC. It's like, ha! You'll never receive that. You don't understand how Japan works. And then, of course, you get all the Dark Souls games. So, yeah, you were really wrong on that. But regardless, there's nothing wrong with asking for a game on a different format. Just don't be a massive asshole about it.
There you go. Awesome. Oh my God, it's almost like people are more inclined to help you when you're polite.
Yeah, it's weird like
that. Be an asshole.
Yeah. No, don't though. What if you don't?
I must.
What if you
tried not
I
doing
must.
that?
No, she must be an asshole. That's
Well, in that
Diablo
case,
3, that's how we got
you probably don't want to play Rainbow Six, because they announced, I believe as of last week, that they are hard banning for the use of homophobic and racist speech in Rainbow Six Siege.
That's because they're weak. It's because they're weak. I can't believe they
Someone
would
take that out of context, please.
What?
Ubisoft
I was pretending to continue being a shit stain.
Yeah, no, I know what you're.
That wasn't obvious.
I just want the internet to just take that little clip.
You were committing to a character. I understand. I get it.
Yeah. I think it speaks sort of volumes. Actually, it wasn't even last week. It was this week. They announced we're going to do that. The Reddit thread on this was locked despite having 15,000 upvotes within about a minute of it being posted.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so that should be indicative immediately of when the arseholes jumped on this whole thing. It's like, freedom of speech and all this nonsense, blah, blah, blah. There's also, I mean, nobody, I think, of any sane caliber should be disputing banning for hard racism and use of homophobic language. Like, there's no...
Right.
There's no reason for that. You know, there's the what about is some guys that came along and said, well, what if in this situation we happen to be discussing the, you know, socioeconomic history of this particular word, etc. Like, no, you're not doing that in a Rainbow Six game. If you're doing that, you're griefing because you're not playing the game. So stop with your fucking socioeconomic history lesson and start playing the fucking game and fucking put the goddamn mind in the right place this time. I'd
actually love to join.
Crossing over into different frustrations, but yeah. I mean,
it's just, I would actually love to join a game and then just pull up like somebody's like sociology thesis paper and just start like reading it, like their dissertation, and then just like reading the whole thing.
And then you end up getting banned or whatever for the use of that word. It's like, well, there's no scenario at all in which the use of that word is acceptable in that fucking video game. Like, so you can hard ban for that. Like, that's actually like you can do a whole zero tolerance thing on that. And it's like, well, what if I get banned? Why would you ever be worried about even saying that word? Word just slipped out. How is it as close to your tongue as that in order to slip out?
Yeah.
I wonder, like, in what possible scenario would that ever happen?
Yeah.
You know, you can argue as much as you want about video games being a home of shitty behavior. But
that's like, a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Most of them aren't. Like, you only hear about the shit stains. You don't hear about the millions of lobbies that happen every day that go just fine without anybody being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And if that is part of gamer culture, whatever that means, I don't think that's even a thing. But if someone even did try to make the argument that there's just... hey, you know, we've been doing that for ages. Well, maybe we should just stop. Right? What if we didn't?
This is just the way it is.
I can't wait for that scene in Ready Player One where he joins a random lobby and somebody starts calling him racial slurs. I missed that scene in the book.
Indeed, I remember that. It's like, well, just don't. You know, I'm glad that actions seem to be having consequences.
Yeah,
there is a big pushback against this in multiplayer gaming at the moment. Good. Like, there's enough is enough. I think it's honestly. I was chatting to some guys from the neighborhood a couple of weeks ago at a birthday party. People I don't usually interact with. You know, the kind of people who are not in our circle. And I was explaining to them the rise of board gaming, you know, the fact that it's been becoming a big deal over the last couple of years. And it came just naturally to one of these guys who doesn't really game all that much, that as we grow older, but we grow up with video games, we like the idea of gaming, but we're sick of dealing with the assholes. So that's why we've switched to gaming in person, you know, where we have control of the people that we play with. Because we wanted a social experience, but what we're getting online is an antisocial experience. And the thing is, that doesn't have to happen. There's no reason for it. You know, it's like, oh, well, I just got mad and said it. You don't just get mad and say that.
Yeah.
Not that specific thing. We're not talking about calling someone shit stain here. We're talking about very specific racial and homophobic slurs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's one of those things that they always try and crack down on in games. It's just so hard, you know, it's very difficult to do it, I think. I mean, even Overwatch is doing their like anti-toxicity campaign stuff where they're trying to get rid of that. And, you know, that's great.
Who'd want it? Like, who wants it? How is this a selling point?
Yeah.
No company wants this in their game.
No.
That's not a selling point.
What's interesting is that I think the conversation gets really muddy sometimes because from some people's perspective, but this won't solve racism.
So?
And that's,
it might help a little bit.
I think like it's important to realize that that's Honestly, that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that the people who are playing the game have a safe, comfortable experience.
Yeah,
right?
And then there's that mockery.
Aren't going to be assholes.
There's so much mockery of the concept of
those assholes anything. They're trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, it's just showing them the door. It's like there's so much mockery of the concept of it's safe. There's like, okay, you find that funny? Like you don't want to come home from? Oh wait, of course you're not coming home from work, are you? You know you're not coming home from work, sitting down after a tiring day and just want a game without any bullshit. I think the people that defend that stuff.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a safe, comfortable environment. I think it's just a regular environment. Like they just want people to have an environment where they won't hear that or be exposed to that. It's not even just like a safe, comfortable environment. People are taking that out of proportion. They just want a regular, socially acceptable environment.
Like, I don't walk into a store and have someone shouting racial epithets at me.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That's not common. And if that were to happen, that would be unusual and noteworthy. But it's not unusual and noteworthy for that to happen when going into a game lobby. And that's silly. It should be unusual and noteworthy.
Why does a blue button keep popping up over my camera?
I don't know.
Okay.
What blue button? What are you talking about?
Please there's like a little blue circle with a crown in it that keeps popping up.
Oh, it's not the that's the extension they added that reminds you when you've got your Prime sub to use. That's they put that in last week. They added it to Twitch.
That's very weird.
If you want it to go away, it's nice and easy. You just use your Twitch Prime sub for the month.
There we go.
Barf.
Ooh, I already subbed to you, TB.
Indeed. You gotta sub to somebody else.
That's the scorpion button. When you press that button, it drops scorpions into Tasha's office.
No!
Yeah, we probably should have mentioned that.
Yeah, sorry. We had that installed last week. We thought we told you.
Yeah. Anyway, it's this isn't even a debate.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no side that you look at that's like, oh yes, I see your point. Clearly there should be some room to maneuver when it comes to the use of the N-word in this video game. No, I don't think so. And no, I don't think people should have to deal with it. It's like, oh, you got a mute button. What if I didn't have to do anything? What if I could just play a game and not have that happen? That would be pretty cool. Thankfully, that's what happens most of the time, which is nice.
It's true. It's rare that you have to deal with that stuff, but still.
Yeah, say no to heated gaming moments. Heated gaming moments, yes.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, my last final thought on the situation is I don't even think that it should be one of those things where they say we want a safe, comfortable gaming environment. I think they should just push the message of we want a normal environment, just a normal, socially acceptable environment where people are normal and don't do things that are bigoted and heinous. Like that's, I think, what we should just push, because not to call out what you said, Dukes, but like I like
whatever.
No, I'm just saying that like I think the message that they should push is we just want a regular environment. Like we're not even looking for a safe, comfortable environment. It's just a regular, socially acceptable environment that you'd experience in your normal.
Yeah, because that implies that that's somehow exceptional. It's like, no, that's not exceptional. That's how. Let's be honest. If that is happening to you all the time in real life, well, one, I would suggest you're probably black, and secondly, Jesus Christ, I feel sorry for you. That's a really shitty environment you must be in, but that's not normal, and it shouldn't be normal. And it doesn't have to be normal online because it's so fucking easy. Getting rid of people in real life is a little bit trickier. Banning someone from a game lobby.
Dark. Where are we going there?
And costly. And potentially costly.
I don't have enough Bitcoin for that. I'm sorry.
Indeed. We've got a little bit of Ethereum. It should be all right.
Yeah.
The reason why I think the wording of it is important, and the reason why I think this is going to be something we'll not hear the end of for a while, is because it's based off of, like Octo saying, societal norms and how in society you don't go out to like and do shitty stuff like that to people. But the flip side, of course, devil's advocate is like the societal norm of online culture is this. and that's not real culture. So immediately you're like, oh fuck, here we go. So this is
you're right.
It might be as simple as being like, look, maybe it has to be a safe space. Maybe that like who knows?
What's wrong with that?
That's fair. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm there to play video games. Like,
right.
You know, not debate the historical use of the N-word or whatever. It's like I'm there to shoot some dudes.
Yeah, it sucks.
So let's maybe do that.
Yeah.
I feel like Octo's right in what it should be.
Yeah.
But the reality is that you're going to get the backlash of like, yeah, well, gaming culture's always been this way, which is like, oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
If that was true, then gaming culture is a fucking dumpster fire. But I don't believe that's true in the slightest.
Throw it out.
Yeah, I don't believe that's true in the slightest.
I don't know.
Yeah. I might be just being a little too pragmatic in that it's just, you know,
you're hopeful. You're an optimist.
Yeah. I'm a pragmatic optimist. I'm basically just like, hey, let's just hope for like regular old decency. But whatever. What the fuck do I know?
Just like, you know, we don't have to hold hands, but if we can just nod at each other.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. I just want to be like, hey, cool. This is a fun video game, right? And I don't want to, you know, have
the whole like, I mean you no harm, and I acknowledge your presence, nod. That everyone going into an elevator does, like.
Yeah. It's hail from EverQuest. You're just pressing H. You just hail. That's all you want.
I acknowledge you. We will not attack each other. Continue with your day, good friend.
Exactly.
That's all you want in life.
That's all I want. That's what I want.
I was trying to figure out how to combine your name and the word optimist, and what my brain came up with was Octomist.
Octomist,
yeah.
Which
Octomist.
I think means you should put out a line of cologne.
Octomist? Ooh, I like it.
I would not trust you to spray your Octomist in my face, thank you.
Listen, it's just to say here. I'll spray it and you can walk through it if you want. That's how I put on.
Yeah, pheromones, excellent.
Yeah,
that's how I think that's how everybody should.
That's how everyone should do it.
Communicate in pheromones? What?
No way.
Everyone should communicate. Everyone should scent mark each other like dogs.
What would the toxicity of online smell like in pheromones?
Depends on the game.
That's true. That's true.
Sandalwood, I think.
Yeah. Sandalwood?
Sandalwood.
All right. Okay. That's fair.
Man, what else? There's not really been much on the news front outside of the whole, video games are responsible for mass murder thing again, which isn't even worth addressing.
Nope.
Throw it out. Throw it out.
Not even worth talking about. We talked about this shit in the 90s. This is fucking done in the minds of any sane person. Unfortunately, we have a few people that aren't. So they will have to be dealt with.
And they run our country.
Oh,
anyway, what's the next topic?
Yeah, I got nothing, honestly. Other than interesting little announcement that FarCry 5 is getting what it's calling the arcade. And it's getting a massive, great stonking map editor, which, of course, Far Cry has had in the past. Crysis had, and was a pretty big deal back then. And being able to creatively make your own stuff, including assets from other games, which also include Watch Dogs, apparently. They're going to include assets from different games in there, possibly even Assassin's Creed.
What?
So you'll be able to possibly make some really crazy stuff with this thing. There's a pretty great video that they put out online. They call it Infinite Gameplay and a Creative Map Editor as to whether or not this is going to be console compatible or just PC. I kind of hope just PC because we saw what happened with Doom when its map editor and the limitations of console meant that, that couldn't really reach its potential. But there's some crazy looking stuff that they're showing with this, different game modes, being able to design your own maps. And again, including assets from different games. It's not just from Far Cry 5.
That's a neat idea. I'd love to see
I'd say so.
Implemented. That's pretty cool.
Yep. I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to do with that. There's, I know a lot of people are already saying, please, for the love of God, put in the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon assets so that we can have Blood Dragons running around everywhere.
Yeah.
And do crazy stuff like that.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. I want to see how they would do it on console.
Well, I mean, you could do the way Bethesda's doing Far Cry Fallout 4 mods, maybe curated that way. I don't know about using the editor though. Things like I'm looking at the editor and it seems like it's got these bars very similar to the way that the Doom editor had, so it's kind of limited. And they were using a controller to use the editor there, but I don't know if that means anything. You know, it could still be running on a PC. But I just hope they can make some really cool stuff with this. You know, this FarCry has not been really on my radar as something that I care about this year. It's like, oh, great, another FarCry game. You know, you've pretty much played them all at this point. But this editor, I'm a bit more intrigued, to say the least, when I'm seeing this is going on.
I feel like Far Cry is slowly slipping into that, like, Assassin's Creed area for me, where I'm just like,
it's already there.
Too many?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, another one? Wait, how long was it since the last one? Oh, like a year.
It's actually been a while, unless you count Primal, which
I do.
Yeah.
It's a Far Cry game.
It is a Far Cry game. It's weird when we think about it, because we ignore Primal, and it's just Far Cry 3 and 4, which were very similar to each other.
So I don't know. It's just like, I mean, maybe it isn't such a bad of an offender as Assassin's Creed is.
No, I think it dragged on a lot longer, but I definitely have felt the fatigue with Far Cry. I was feeling it with 4. Primal, I just thought was barely even a Far Cry game, but 4, I was already feeling that fatigue of like, this is very similar to what I was doing in 3, and that was good, but I want to see more than this, and I want to see change up some of this really terrible stuff. Like, all of this pelt collection for fucking bags is really starting to piss me off.
Yeah.
But we'll see. 5 is becoming more interesting with the addition of this stuff, so I'm intrigued to see what they can do with that. I think that's about it for news, unless any of you have anything that you'd like to mention.
I learned a cool bit of trivia about Civilization.
Okay.
The other day.
Game, or like
just
the
the
thing
concept.
that people do?
About Civilization.
The concept of just life in general.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. So Sid and his friend Bruce were like, yo, let's make a board game. And they made Civilization, the board game. And then Sid Meier was like, I really want to turn this into video games. His friend Bruce was Bruce Shelley, who went on to make Age of Empires.
Oh,
there you go. It's the remake.
What a bunch of fucking nerds!
Yes, we were looking it up the other day, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, Sid Meier's and Bruce Shelley, they like.
I mean, it makes
worked
sense.
On Civilization together, and then Bruce was like, "I got other plans, bitches."
They're
made Age of Empires.
2 of the best games in their genres, respectively. I think Age of Empires is a fantastic RTS game, and I think Civ is a great turn-based strategy game.
I haven't got around to playing the remake of Age of Empires that just came out last week before. I think.
Wait, they remade Age of Empires?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know about Jesse. I don't know where Jesse's going. Or what his plan is, but yeah, they did a remake of it a couple of weeks ago, released it on the Windows Store, which is probably why you don't know about it.
Windows Store, no!
Yeah, it's
well,
on the
guess
Windows
I'm not
Store.
playing that game.
They redid everything, like the animations, instead of having like 8 states of movement, you got 32 now, you know, they redid all the voice acting and everything, it's just a lot nicer by the looks of it.
Yeah, let me see. All right, well, I'm going to look this up. Age of Empires.
So I'm intrigued to see if it still holds up.
Is this Definitive Edition? Yeah, it must be
I think that's what it's called, yes.
Oh, wow. Holy
it's a lot shinier.
Crap.
Yeah, it's a lot shinier than it was.
Yes, it is. Man, I would love for them to give Age of Mythology this treatment. That is probably one of my favorite games of all time.
They did release Age of Mythology on Steam as an upgraded version. They didn't go that far with it.
No, they didn't do much to it.
Yeah, they polished it up a little bit. That was about it. But
yeah, but I'd love for them to do a full-on thing like this to it.
Yeah, it's still a bit strange that they've even done this in the first place, considering it's the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know why they decided to do that, but they did.
Not 2, because 2 is like better in every conceivable way.
Well, again, you know, they probably argue, well, we've already done Age of Empires 2 HD, even though it's by no means that crazy. Oh, yeah. Well. Oh, wow. I'd like to start releases, but I don't know where Jesse went.
I don't know where he went either.
He vanished.
Or one of us will be Jesse when his come up, and we'll try to guess why he chose that game.
We could do that. Yes.
Quick little tail end to this Age of. If you guys have played Age of Empires but haven't played Age of Mythology, go play Age of Mythology. It's so good. Wow. Actually, they did do a re-release of it, and it got really good reviews. Okay, I'm actually buying this right now.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't change it massively, but it didn't need as much as the first one did.
Wow, right.
Well then, he's gone. I don't know where. Let's just get into releases, I suppose.
Go for it, yeah.
It's not like we have much of a choice in the matter because he's baggered off.
The first one's yours, right?
Yeah, it actually is. I remember hearing about this a while ago, but then it basically disappearing from everybody's radars, and it has just popped up today. It's pretty much out of nowhere, and it's called Way of the Passive Fist. It's a unique and colourful arcade brawler where you use parry, dash, and dodge to outwit and outlast your opponents. Basically, you fight by not fighting.
Okay, interesting.
Water.
Yep. It's a new kind of tactical fighting in the licensed arcade brawler of the 90s cartoon that you wish existed, so it claims. That kind of looks great for a wide variety of different reasons, so I'm going to try that one out today. That is out as of now.
Nice.
Cool.
Way of the Passive Fist?
Way of the Passive Fist. A Museum of Dubious Splendors is...
Museum of Dubious Splendors. It looks like it's a... from what I can tell, it's a walking simulator, but you're walking through a lot of fucking weird shit.
Of dubious splendors, it would seem.
Yeah, you're walking through a Museum of Dubious Splendors, if you will.
If you will.
Jesse actually brought this one up to us, and we looked at it, and I was like, wait, is no one grabbing this? Because this game looks fucking weird.
Yep.
I want to know if anything happens in it. That's... Oh, the screenshots look so goddamn weird. Does anything happen?
It is just you walking through a museum, from what I can tell.
But it says it's listed as an adventure.
I disagree. You know, this one right here is also listed as an adventure. You picked Bacon Man an adventure for some reason.
I did. Yo, this game looks like it has potential to me.
Also, I'm buying Way of the Passive Fist. This looks really good.
Do it.
I just realized the pun on passive fist, A.
Oh.
Yeah.
But this whole Bacon Man thing actually does look a lot better than I expected. I thought is going to be junk, but it actually does not look like junk at all.
Right? It looks like there's potential there. It's just an action platformer game where you play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just got an absolutely awful trailer, which is not really helping it.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, Kung Pao Under the Fist had an awful trailer, and that movie's great.
I had a feeling that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Not so convinced about this one. The digital edition of Scythe is coming out, which is a pretty fucking awesome board game, so I'm intrigued to see where that one goes. Hopefully get a chance to try that at some point. It won 5 billion different board game awards a couple of years ago, so...
What's it called?
Scythe.
Scythe.
Yes, so that will be interesting to see if that's a good digital version. We've had about half and half when it comes to board games. Some of them are great implementations, like Race for the Galaxy, and some are really bad, like Colt Express. So, yeah, it's a bit of a hit and miss. Now, this was something that Jesse picked, but since he has completely vanished...
Octo, do you want to be Jesse? Click on the game and see if you can tell why he picked it.
Which game is it?
Fear Effect Sedna.
Fear Effect Senda is, I think it's, kind of, yeah, hang on, I gotta put my birth date in here. Hang on a second. Just a minute here. Okay. Fear Effect Senda, thrilling action and stealth gameplay enhanced by the Fear system, an exciting story and ultra stylish cutscenes harness your team's dynamic abilities, tackle the enemies and puzzles like never before. Oh, this looks like Archer.
That is an interesting comparison.
Maybe
that's
a tick in its positive direction.
Fear Effect was an old game, and I don't remember much about it, but apparently it looks like it's a tactics game from what I can tell.
It looks like Syndicate a little bit.
Yeah, I've got that vibe.
It? Yeah, I think the more so the aesthetic of it reminds me of Syndicate a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean the gameplay as well.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, definitely. So, I think the two combined definitely.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if I don't know if there's anything like the original. If I recall the original, and that was a long fucking time ago. I don't even know if it's on Steam. No, it's not. That cartoon like graphic novel art style was definitely part of it. But I can't remember anything else about Fear Effect as a game, so I don't know, but this one looks kind of cool. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, big release today is the Windows version of Final Fantasy 15, which has pretty much everything with it. There are some complaints about its use of de novo, DRM. Some people are claiming it's got performance issues as a result. That tends to happen every time anything releases with this. As to how widespread that is, hard to say. Because there's a lot of FUD surrounding that particular system as well.
Running at 60 too, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Getting it's above 30.
Yeah, apparently it's, from what I've read of initial impressions, the performance is pretty good.
Yep.
So, cool.
That's something that was not the case with the console, so this is probably a great place to play this game. Although I've heard mouse and keyboard, probably not the best way to do it. Which, to be fair, with a third-person action game is not unexpected. So just be prepared for that. Outside of that, there is a Scribblenauts game coming out on Switch today.
What? Wait, how did I never hear about this?
Scribblenauts Showdown is apparently coming out on Switch and PS4.
Huh.
Which is a bit surprising.
Interesting. Scribblenauts Showdown.
Yep. And also, North is coming to Switch and PS4 as well, and also PC, which I've heard is pretty cool. All right, moving on to March the 7th.
My game? Blake and Mortimer, The Curse of the 30 Denarii.
Okay.
It's a little point-and-click adventure game. Looks right up my alley. Blake and Mortimer, they're trying to protect an artifact with puzzles.
Oh man, this looks like some Johnny Quest style stuff.
Right?
I was going to say, it looks exactly like Tintin.
Tintin, that's what I'm
very
thinking of.
Tintin.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm kind of suspicious that they nicked it.
A little bit almost, yeah.
Looks
like
really,
especially
really similar.
This screen where he's on the boat, especially, that's like a pose that's like Tintin's idle pose.
Oh yeah,
where he's kind of got his head forward like
actually,
that.
Yeah. Yes. Welcome back.
Hi, sorry. I was not feeling very well. I'm back though.
That's okay.
Enough. The next game, also a Dodger original.
Choochel.
Excuse me?
From the creators of Machinarium. Okay.
Yeah, which I love.
Oh.
Yeah, all right.
I love that game.
I'm interested now.
So yeah, the art style is fucking bizarre.
Yes.
And I'm wondering how, because they make like really smart puzzle point and clicks.
Yep.
So I'm like, how is this art style? Because every screen looks so simple.
Yeah, it does.
So I'm like, how are they gonna make it so that?
Oh, I played this game at
so
a
expressive.
PAX, I think.
How was it?
Super cute. Super cute.
Okay. Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, that looks pretty great. Like I said, the guy's so fucking expressive in every scene. I love it.
Yeah.
Aminata's design's always been really, really great. This is cute.
Oh no, who picked Senran Kagura?
Who the fuck do you think?
Hi everyone. Hi, my name's Jesse Cox. Look, Senran Kagura Peach Please Splash is coming to PC.
How's my Jesse impression? Was it close?
It was very good.
Thank you.
So here's the deal. I don't give a shit whether you like this or not, but I need people to buy it so I can get all the achievements for my PlayStation account. It's gonna be the first thing I ever platinum. So there's competitive online multiplayer and I need people to play it. No one is playing it currently.
Wait, is this a big titty waifu water gun fight?
It is. It is.
All right, hold on. We'll go to my wallet.
It's anime waifu Splatoon,
so,
basically.
Pretty much. That's exactly what it is. And when you knock someone out, you have a chance to run over to them and squirt them down with water and like blow off their bikini top. All I'm saying is I need people to play online so I can get the achievements. It's gonna be my first game ever platinum. I need this to happen. Do it for me, internet.
Dear God, why?
Do it for me.
Do it for your boy Jesse.
Let's find out there's cross compatibility first, but then do it for me is what I'm saying.
Somehow I have a feeling they will not be.
All I'm saying is that's why I selected it. I need this. Moving
on, March the 8th.
Ooh, Vermintide.
Yep, Vermintide 2.
Hell yeah, Warhammer Vermintide 2.
All right.
Still haven't got around to playing the beta. I mean to do that. The closed beta is open right now, I believe, for Vermintide 2.
I've had a lot of fun with the beta.
Yeah,
I haven't touched it, but I've watched Sam play it a lot, and it looks really fun.
Well, the first game was really good. I'm interested to see how they've done loot this time around, because that seems like the primary concern of most people when they played the previous one. For some inexplicable reason, it will not go off of Senran Kagura. I don't know why. I am trying my best to make it go to a different game. There we go. Lovely. That seemed like that was the primary complaint of a lot of people, that loot was a pain in the arse to get. It was too randomized.
Which it was.
So, which is true. They made several attempts to change that.
Yeah.
This time around, you've got some Chaos enemies in there as well. I did play a very early version of this, and it's like, it just felt like a more polished version of the first one with a larger enemy variety, which is what you would expect from a kind of Left 4 Dead style game. And they've stuck with the same 5 characters, but they've given them each 3 very different career paths, which completely changes the way that they fight and the skills they have access to and things like that. So, yep, I hope that this does really, really well, because the first game was really good, and they put out a lot of support for that, a lot of free DLC as well as map packs, and I can't wait to set shit on fire again.
Yeah, and I can't wait for Vermintide 3 Peach Beach Splash.
Yes, the anime waifu version is coming.
Really excited.
Soon.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Can I just point out, for the record, in Peach Beach Splash, they have a thing that is a YouTube fake clone where they broadcast on. They have a thing where they keep calling it PBS, so I always put a PBS logo in the top corner.
Right.
It's one of the best games ever. And the plot is just about girls like trying to find themselves and going off to college together. That's literally it. I'm not joking. They're all ninjas. It's the best game ever made.
Nice. I like it.
Moving on.
I'm a ninja too.
Moving on to another Dodger pick. Silenced the House.
Silenced the House. It's like a sepia-toned horror game.
I saw that. Yeah.
You play a girl named Ashley who winds up in a house, and you have to complete a ritual to get the ghosts to go away or you die. I like,
there's anime in
for
it.
some reason, I really like the sepia tone combined with every now and then there's blood. Just like, man, that looks really spoopy to me. So it works for me.
There is one other thing I actually noticed that's coming out on March the 8th, which is a Switch version of Steridon. It's called Steridon Binary Stars. Steridon, it's another roguelite. It's a roguelite side-scrolling space shooter. It was on PC, and it was pretty good on PC. Looks like there's a Switch version of it that has more content. It'll probably be pretty good on Switch, too. So I might pick that up. I liked it when I played it on PC, but there's another game that's like, hey, portably, I'm more likely to play that. Moving on to March the 9th.
Another me game.
Indeed. What is this?
It's called Tardy. And you might think that it has to do with school, but it doesn't.
It does not.
It's a puzzle game where you're a dude who has to like fiddle around with machinery and stuff in order to complete your adventure.
Interesting.
I really like the color palette on it. I like the look of it a lot. So yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, it looks like kind of old school 90s, early 90s PC game.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Darwin Project, Jesse?
Yeah. Darwin Project is the game I keep dismissing and then keep seeing at events, and I'm like, this looks fucking dope every time. Every single time. It's just a battle royale. It's one of those things where you think, okay, I've seen it a million times, but it has the feature of a director, a guy. It's done in the style of like an actual Hunger Games kind of situation where you can influence the map and the match, and I think that's really, really cool. Every time I see it, I've always dismissed it, but every time I see it, I'm a little blown away. So it's definitely one to look out for if you're into the BR world.
Yeah, it's a weird one because they marketed it in such a way that, was very streamer heavy. So it's like, well, is this going to be any good for your regular player, or is this going to constantly be benefiting streamers or something like this? This show director thing does let you fuck people over. And, there's a possibility that if you were playing on stream, your show director is going to do that to you, or, do the other thing. That I think that's been the most contentious part of this game, this show director thing being so potentially unfair is something that a lot of people have complained about, but simultaneously that seems like one of the most original parts of this game. Right. So it would be a shame if they were to ruin that by taking that away. Yeah, it's a very odd one. I need to just sit down and spend some time with it and get a feel for it, because you're right, I dismissed it when I initially saw it at E3 or whatever, when they had the silly Shoutcast announcement thing where they showed it for about 5 seconds and that was it. But I've heard a lot of good things about it since.
Yeah, I watched it. More than anything else, I watched it at PAX South and was just like, this is actually kind of fucking really entertaining. So yeah, and I think because the E3 announcement was really lame, that people were like, oof, okay. And now that I actually see it in action, I'm kind of impressed. Yeah.
It looks like there's a lot of originality in this. It's not a clone by any stretch, it is a very small battle royale, actually. It's like it's only about 10 people or so. And there's crafting involved in it, crazy shit. You've got cooldown based abilities and stuff like that. It's very different. Like, it is a battle royale in the sense of the book and in the sense of like the Hunger Games. It's not like some giant 100-person clusterfuck.
Right.
There's some interesting stuff in it. Yeah, so I'm intrigued. I'm going to look at it when it comes out. I'm interested to see what's going on with that.
Oh yeah, this is just a heads. It's the early access version.
Yeah, this is for early access. And we've got really nothing on March the 10th, unless you're a big fan of Mahjong. And March the 11th, Battle for the Mountain Throne.
I just looked at this. It seems interesting.
Yeah, I think I've said a couple of times that I would really love for there to be actual adventure games in VR.
This might not be it, but
he just knocks his goblin right off the fucking cliff, and it's funny.
My favorite is when the goblin's walking up to him with the spear, and he just has the gun ready to go, and it just like walks right into the barrel and just blows it up.
What's the name of that Devolver game that's in VR that's like this? It begins with a G. Gorn. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Gorn when it comes to this kind of thing and doing it very well.
The thing about Gorn is like, it's cute for about maybe 40 minutes, and then you're like, all right, I played the game. It's one of those.
Yeah.
It gets boring that quickly.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it. Maybe it's just me. Like, the coolest thing I liked about Gorn was that if you get hit in the head, your vision gets all blurry. So then you have to like deal with that. But like, and the art style is super inconsistent, and I don't like that. It's just strange. But like, I don't know. This looks fun I'd like to see what else they would do with the actual game itself, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think this is going to need a lot of work. There's a lot of virtual games, like VR games at the moment, that try to do this kind of thing, and they're generally not that great. So we'll have to see. I think that's about it.
What about Cat's Bar?
Yes, March the 12th would be a Monday, so you can have Cat's Bar, which is...
Let me read the summary. I double checked. It is coming out in English.
Okay.
People who loves cat maybe need this game. I hope you like. It's a simulation game. You acting as White Cat and runs a bar in 3 months game time. You can make wine and pick materials. Then you can choose to recall the goddess. Or not.
I hate this show sometimes.
I love it.
Wait a minute.
So
hold on.
Cute.
The fuck?
Parkour simulator.
No.
Experience breathtaking emotions and master parkour tricks. Become a true master and show your own freestyle.
Can we stop now?
You're welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks for that. Always appreciate
it. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, big releases this week for PC. Probably Final Fantasy for most people, I'd imagine. Fear Effect looks pretty cool. Way of the Passive Fist. I want to check that out. I'm very curious as to where that is. Outside of that, Vermintide 2, of course. Hopefully getting a lot of time on in that this week.
Jesse, you all right, buddy?
He's lost it. He's done.
I'm sorry. Because I felt left out, I went on a find weird descriptions in a video game on Steam search as well. And I found one for what is love? And the description is, I love you. 3 simple words. Were they actually true deep down in heart? Maybe. That's it. That's the description.
That sounds amazing.
You can't summon you can't summon the goddess, or not. Like,
or not.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Not.
I would like
Summon the goddess, or not.
I would like to point out one last game that comes out on March 12th, which is just called Chupacabra. And I saw it and I saw the screenshots, and it's first-person horror game. And I thought, oh my God, do you play as the Chupacabra? But no, you hunt it. So fuck that. No.
That would have been amazing.
How unfortunate.
I know.
Were they true deep down in heart? Maybe.
Maybe.
I just love it. That's the conceit of maybe.
Who knows? Dear God.
Fuck me.
Steam, full of quality products since 1998.
It's good shit.
We're about done, I think. Dodger, what you got going on this week?
I'm finally back. I'm done traveling. In fact, I can't travel ever again until this monster's out of my body.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say, you should probably stop that now.
I can't leave home anymore. Oh no, I'm so sad. So yeah, back to normal streams, maybe doing some extra stuff. I was just on an episode of Always Open on the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel if you would like to watch that. I have a coffee company. You can find it at dodgercoffeeco.com, and otherwise just come hang out for streams. That would be amazing.
There you go. Octopimp, what are you up to?
Hey, my name's Octo. I've been streaming Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, which is surprisingly good. I've been listen. It's a Digimon dungeon crawling. Listen to me. It's a dungeon crawling game.
I was gonna say you skipped out on this earlier because you didn't think it was worth our time, and now you're trying to go to bat for it.
It wasn't super relevant to the discussion at the time, but
right.
It's a game by the people that made Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner. So it's by some of the people who worked on the Shin Megami Tensei series, and it's super, super good. And so I've been playing that, and I'm going to play the next one, Hacker's Memory. And I've also been playing Nioh and Dragonball FighterZ, a lot of Dragonball FighterZ. So come watch me kill some Gokus. It'll be fun. Yeah. There you go.
Jesse, what's coming up on the gel this week?
Yo, more fun times. There's a new Scary Game Squad going up tonight. We play a game that is genuinely like one of the scariest we played in a long time. So it's actually a scary game. And we on the stream, I mean, I'm going to try Crossing Souls tomorrow again. I love that game. I've had a lot of fun with it so far.
Yeah, I need to give that a shot. It looks
super cool.
Pretty great.
Yeah, and then I'm off to EGLX in Toronto, Canada for the rest of the week. So I'll see you there, my Canadian friends. Bring me Timbits and hockey references and syrup.
And maple candy.
And maple candy. Oh, stuff. Yeah, bring me like an iced... trying to think of what that is. One of your like where it's ice but it's also maple syrup.
Oh yeah.
On a stick. Bring me that shit, man. Syrup. I'm ready. I love Canada. I've been to Toronto in 15 years.
I have neither, actually. Weirdly enough,
I love Toronto. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. It's so good.
I've never been.
It's beautiful.
But I can't go right now because there's a monster in my body.
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend that. Yeah. But poutine is fantastic, so I give them all the credit in the world for that. They understand the benefits of chips and gravy, and that is a country that I can trust.
Yes. Oh, and Dodger and I will play the new Life is Strange when I get back, so don't worry, chat.
Go to Smoke's Poutinery if you can, Jesse.
Smoke's Poutinery.
Go find a place that
sounds so
poutine.
dirty.
It's the best like chain poutine that you can get, and it's really good.
I don't want like a chain. I want like an old...
it's good. Trust me, it's good.
Well, you have the chain experience, and then you have that experience.
I guess you're right. Look, Octo could be right. I remember when Dodger and I went to Poland, and the only pierogies we enjoyed were the ones that people were like, "That's like the Taco Bell of Poland." So like,
Yeah, we went to a Danish restaurant in Sweden, and they're like, what are you going there for? It's like, it's fucking awesome. These guys have incredible pepper steak. Don't get me started. Jensen's Boffhaus is the name of it. Yeah, that's the name of it. I'll take Max Burger's good as well. I'll concede to Max Burger. That's fair.
All I'm saying is, the minute I land in Toronto, I'm going to Tim Hortons. It's fucking happening. It's fucking happening.
Timmy Hose?
I love Tim Hortons.
I just hope they ruined that. They did something horrible to it.
They can't. It didn't happen.
I don't believe you.
Fake news. Fake news.
Very well good.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Woo!
Yeah, we're pretty much done. Thank you very much for watching the Co-optional Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Big thanks to our sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. And keep an eye on the TotalBiscuit shop for a new t-shirt being released this week. Of course, if you are a subscriber, you will get 10% off everything in the store. So bear that in mind. I'll send out the codes over the next couple of days. If you happen to pick up the subscription, of course, congratulations to those of you that have very strange-looking hats. I think the best one we saw was 80 months today. I don't think we saw higher than that, so...
80 months?
80 months. Yeah, we have an 80-month hat.
God, that's like...
That's a lot of months. Yeah, I'm not willing to do the basic divide by 12 arithmetic in my head at this point. I'm not willing to do that.
If you lose your 80-month sub, do you just stop subbing ever again?
I think you never sub again at that point. Yeah, that's...
I'm done. I can't do that.
At least you email them and ask for it back. And if they don't give it to you, then yeah, you just... That's it. Why would you ever?
That's all.
Yeah, because what's the point of even being subbed if you can't ride around like that?
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
There's no point. There's none whatsoever. We're done. Thank you very much for watching the Co-optional Podcast. Also a specialist in no point. Big thanks to Octopimp and to Jesse and Dodger for showing up today. We'll see you the same time next week, 3 p.m. Eastern. Indeed. 12. They're not even going anywhere. They're just going to be sitting here the rest of the week just waving at you.
Yep.
12 p.m. on the Pacific West Coast. There's probably daylight savings time coming, isn't there? Which is going to ruin everything. Yeah, I heard rumors of that. Yeah, it probably will. But we'll be on at some point, and if you miss anything, we're on youtube.com/cynicalbrit anyway. So you can find it. Not a problem. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.